I love that. I think I just saw Rob say he voted for. Hold on now. Let me get back to this. This is an important message we just received. Well, now it's gone. Where did it go? Oh, Rob, I voted for Kamala and Democrats all the way down the ballot in Ohio. Oh my God. Everybody W for Rob. That's fantastic. Hey, listen, and also voting for Sherrod Brown. I know you did. Early voting has started in many states. So if you haven't early voted yet, make sure to check if you can and get out there and early vote. It takes 15 minutes. You get in the car, you go to the location, you fill in your ballot, you do Kamala Harris and whatever Democrats are running, and then you give it in, you put it in the machine, and then it's counted. It's great. Anyway, ladies, gents, boys and girls, everybody in between. If you are, look at Livy. Oh, wait, hold on now. Livy voted in Arizona. Oh, Livy, you're fantastic. Oh my God, well, she's fantastic. And she's voting in the great state of Arizona, a swing state, very important state. That's fantastic. I love to hear that. Listen, ladies and gents, boys and girls, if you're just getting in the live, make sure to double tap the screen. Let's try to get to 100,000 likes. It really helps boost the live and send it to more people. Also spam those shares down there. Drop a follow if you haven't already. And of course, as you know, Venmo, Cash App in the link in the bio, and the Snapchat. My Snapchat is in my link in the bio. We're having fun over there, posting a lot of stuff over there. Shoe review today, shoe unboxing. Anyway, all right, drop a follow if you haven't already. Meowcat also voted in Arizona, man. That's awesome. I love that. I love hearing this. Get out and vote, everybody. Get out and vote. Now listen, in many states, voting hasn't started yet, and in many states, people haven't voted yet. That's why we're still here talking to Trump supporters, trying to figure out why they're MAGA. So if you are MAGA, if you are a Trump supporter, type in the chat MAGA or Trump 2024 or request up in the box, and I will bring you up and we can talk. Yeah? And you can tell me and the many beautiful people sitting at home why you're Miss C, New York City love, represent. Oh, fuck yeah, represent. Excuse my language. Sorry, I just love the great city of New York. Love that. So anyway, if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up and we can talk. And of course, make sure to keep double tapping the screen. Fill up that entire bar when it shows up, and helps. Hold on here. Somebody says I voted absentee last week oh my God! In Michigan as well, Linda. I appreciate that so much. You're doing great. Latinos con Trump. Okay, I'm gonna give Mary an invite. I just want to see what that's all about. But anyway, if you are MAGA, let me know in the chat. I will bring you up, and you can tell me why you're MAGA. Sorry, that was like a long introduction to the live. But we're here now. Talking with Michael Cohen for a minute. I'll be here ASAP. That's awesome. Have fun. Michael Cohen's great. Let's give Hayden an invite. MAGA Latina for Trump. All right, Clarissa, I'll give you an invite. That is crazy. I turned my absentee ballot in yesterday. Marie, you're amazing. We love people voting. I'm inviting a bunch of people. If any of them want to come up, they're welcome to. Inviting a bunch. Oh, here we go. Here's somebody. Somebody's coming up. Venmo, Cash App, link in the bio if you want to support the live. Hello. Why are you MAGA?
Trump.
And that guy, he'd head on out. He's leaving. That actually might be the. We gotta get somebody timing every debate we have to see which one is the fastest one. I mean, I don't count that one because it didn't. Oh, now that guy's gone as well. Anyway, if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up. Nobody wants to come up right now. That's actually not true. I'll go to the box. I'll just go to the box. Normally I pick people out of the chat, but I'll go to the box. I'll give them an opportunity. I'll give the box an opportunity. Hello, Brandon.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So the reason why I decided to switch my vote to Trump is because it's people like you who I don't want to die in a war. Because I personally do feel if Kamala Harris becomes president, you will be drafted.
We're in less war right now than we were under Donald Trump in terms of American troops.
Listen, if she wins, our country will fall apart.
But wait, hold on now. One of your main reasons is getting drafted and service members serving in different wars.
It's people like you.
No, I heard you. But just to be clear, we are in less war right now in terms of being directly involved, having united. He's gone. Oh, that guy left. Never mind. Sorry, you're here.
No, I'm here.
We are in less war right now in terms of American troops being involved than we were under Donald Trump. More troops died abroad under Donald Trump than under Joe Biden.
I don't believe that, Harry.
What do you mean you don't believe that? In terms of active war, for the first time this decade, we are not in a war. The United States is not at war for the first time this decade.
Where's our troops at?
We have them stationed all around the world, but in countries that we're allied with. So these are like allied bases. So they're not in war. So we have troops stationed in Japan. We have troops stationed in South Korea and Germany and countries across Europe. But those are our allies. So they're not in a war zone. They're just stationed there. They do training exercises with those troops and whatnot. And yeah.
So you think Russia won't have that opportunity to attack America? What about Iran and other countries who
Iran attacked us under Donald Trump.
Who wants death to our country?
Yeah, these countries definitely do. They do not like us, but Iran attacked us under Donald Trump.
And what did Trump do? He attacked back.
No, he didn't. Actually, when it came to the 109 troops who got traumatic brain injuries as a result of the attack by Iran, Donald Trump called them headaches and had no adequate response.
Okay, I want you to do me a huge favor, all right? I want you to follow me, and I want you to send me that link. All right.
What link? What link do you want right now?
The one I've heard about it, but I have not seen it at all.
What, Iran attacking us?
Oh yeah, and when Trump said it was headaches.
Yeah. So here we go. One sec. I'm just gonna do this right now live. So here's an article from. Let me take off the green screen.
Can't see it.
Here's an article from NPR. It says 109 U.S. troops suffered brain injuries in Iran attack. Pentagon says this was published February 11th, 2020. So you obviously February 11th was under Donald Trump, and then Trump called brain injuries headaches. Watch this. And then Military Times. The Military Times. Trump downplays troop brain injuries from Iran attack as headaches. A lot of these guys had to go to the hospital, and Donald Trump called them headaches.
All right, and I will be looking into that as well, Harry. And I just got off of work, but I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, man, go relax. Go take the night for yourself, man.
And God bless you. All right.
I appreciate you, man. Have a good one. All right. Yep. Thanks. Yeah, listen. It bothers the crap out of me when I hear Trump supporters saying that they're voting for Trump for peace. That under Donald Trump there would be peace. Not happening. Not happening. All right. Look, there was far more war and in terms of the United States being directly involved under Donald Trump than Joe Biden. I don't know why people completely ignore this fact, but they do. And it's very concerning because the facts are right in front of our face. Let's bring up Florida Patriot. He has let me just see what this is all about. All right. Hello.
How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you? Can you mute the TV in the background by any chance?
I can try. Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. Venmo, Cash App, and the link in the bio, everybody, if you want to support the live.
Is that better?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So I wouldn't call myself really MAGA or extreme Republican. I'm more moderate. But this is my first election, and I didn't really care for the choice my party gave me, but I don't agree with the Democratic Party. That's the reason why.
Do you agree? So, do you agree with conservatives like Dick Cheney, who was the vice president under George Bush?
Not as much. I don't really like Dick Cheney.
Do you like Liz Cheney?
I don't know. They seem a lot more corrupt. I like John McCain.
Okay.
I thought he was a little better.
And do you like John? Well, John McCain obviously is no longer with us, unfortunately. Yeah, but the point I'm making is that Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, members of John McCain's family, among with many other conservatives, have endorsed Kamala Harris, not because they like the Democratic Party, not because they agree with the Democratic Party. Matter of fact, they actually disagree with the Democratic Party on policy. But what they do agree with the Democrats on is that democracy matters more than anything else. The preservation of our country matters more than anything else. Donald Trump is a threat to that democracy. And even these conservatives who have never in their entire lives voted for a Democrat, are saying, yeah, we will join forces with Kamala Harris just to make sure that Donald Trump loses. And that should be pretty telling to you.
I wouldn't call him a threat to democracy. I agree with a lot of his platform. I think he's mellowed out a little more.
He just the other day said that he's going to use the military against Americans, which is illegal.
Well,
I don't think that's very mellow. And I think that...
Could you educate me on that?
Yeah. I actually might be able to, if I can find the clip, I might be able to show it to you. And you can see for yourself, so you don't have to just take my word for it. I think this is the clip. Yeah, here we go. Let's watch it together, everybody. Oh, come on. Hold on.
I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country.
Enemy within being Democrats.
The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of election day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
So, what I'd say to that, and
come on,
I mean, the use of military force to enforce the law. What he's saying is that there's people breaking the law. There's corrupt people. If that's what he's saying, he'd be doing the same thing Dwight Eisenhower did to enforce the law in Arkansas, deploying the National Guard. So it is illegal to use the military to enforce
the National Guard is, you can deploy the National Guard.
Yeah, on American soil. The regular troops cannot be deployed because of the Posse Comitatus Act. But I wouldn't say he's saying, oh, I'm going to go after all these Democrats that live in the United States.
He said that the enemy from within, aka his fellow Americans, are a bigger threat than countries like China or Russia or Iran. And he specifically said radical left lunatics and Democrats. Now, he thinks that Kamala Harris and Democrats like Kamala Harris are radical left. He calls them that all the time. He says Joe Biden, who's very moderate, actually, is radical left. So when he's saying radical left, he's just not talking about criminals. He's talking about Democrats broadly. And to suggest using the military is insane. Like, what would be your reaction if Kamala Harris said, I'm going to use the military against fascist far-right Republicans?
If she's going to enforce the law, that's a different story. I don't think he's going after...
It's not talking about enforcing the law. It's just, what would be your reaction if Kamala Harris suggested using the military against far-right Republicans?
If she was going after them just based on their belief system, then I would be pretty appalled. I don't think that's what he's saying, though. I think he's saying he's going to go after the corrupt people. And we can agree to disagree on this, but that's
but
what I...
The fact of the matter is, like, he can't point to a specific group of people who are breaking the law or corrupt, right? He's just saying that he's going to use the military against radical left Democrats, who he is, again, described... Kamala Harris and Joe Biden as radical left Democrats. So if they fall into that category, Donald Trump is saying that perhaps the military should be used against them. This is not mellowing out. And look, you can like twist and turn and do the gymnastics you need to do to justify this statement. But nobody running for president of the United States should suggest using the military against any American, regardless of political belief. Kamala Harris won't do that. Donald Trump sounds like he will.
Well, to be fair to President Lincoln, he did use the military against fellow Americans to enforce the law. and he went after people based on their beliefs. And their beliefs were horrible, and they broke the law. And I think it was justified to do that, but that's the president's job, to enforce the law. And if there's people breaking the law, if he sees people being corrupt and going around the law, breaking it, he has the right as the president to enforce the law. So if that's what he's saying, that's what I see.
That's obviously not what he's saying.
Well,
right. He's saying that we have corrupt people or whatever, people like radical left Democrats. He didn't say radical left Democrats who are breaking the law, which, by the way, still you wouldn't use the military against those folks. That's not what he's saying at all. And Lincoln is an entirely different situation where there was states seceded and they were, there was violence and things of that nature. A totally different instance where, certain rights were invoked. And I don't think that we should
President Grant also, whenever the states came back into the Union, deployed federal troops to the South to
again, it's an entirely different scenario, and I don't think that we should be using that time as a model for 2024 in terms of what the president should be doing to American citizens. What we should be doing is saying, we should have a president who's not going to use the military against anybody in the United States. It's that simple. We don't have to do the mental gymnastics. When you factor this in with Donald Trump's other statements, it's like, my God. He's making good on his promise to be dictator on day one.
Yeah, I think that was a poor choice of words. I will give him. I will give you that. That was a poor choice of words.
We can't keep going with poor choice of words. Come on. Like, at what point is it no longer a poor choice of words? What point does it become him meaning it?
Well, I don't think he means being a dictator for David. I mean, constitutionally, and it's impossible for him to do that with checks and balances.
Hold on now. Even if it's constitutionally difficult, it's not impossible. There are plenty of countries that have fallen to authoritarianism and dictatorship that had constitutions. It only takes the right people in the right place to make that happen. Now, the main point, though, is that let's just say, for the sake of argument, the Constitution prevails and it stops Donald Trump from being a dictator. Would we even want to give him a shot at trying?
I don't think he would do that, Harry. I don't think he would be.
He's saying he would.
He was making an analogy.
Oh, come on. Here's the thing.
People say stupid things all the time. I mean, was it smart? Was it smart? No.
He's running to be president. People who are running for president don't accidentally and stupidly say they want to be dictators. Look, I'm taking Donald Trump at his word. You're making excuses for him.
Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you're black. And he's talked about kids rubbing his legs in the pool, man. People running
Has Joe Biden ever insinuated that he wanted to be a dictator of sorts?
To my knowledge, he has not said that.
He has not, right? Do you think Joe Biden has done anything to try to be a dictator?
No, I don't think he could.
Okay. So Donald Trump has tried to overturn elections he didn't win. He's now saying he would be a dictator on day one, and he's saying he will use the military against his fellow Americans.
Okay. Can we talk about the 2020 election real quick?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I'm kind of on the side. I don't see it being stolen. I looked at his cabinet, and my analysis is, if his own cabinet is saying it was not stolen, they're also losing their jobs, so they're not going to lie about that. But I mean, to be fair to Mr. Trump, in 2016, the Democrats did the same thing. They talked about, they talked about it being stolen. They didn't go as far. But I've tried to explain this to my grandma one time. When people lose an election, they start making things up in their head. It's happened all throughout American history, all the way to the beginning. So, do I think the election was stolen? No. But, I mean, you got to imagine losing the presidency. Your mind's going to go all sorts of different ways. So, do I agree with how he handled it? Absolutely not.
That's criminal. What he did was criminal.
What was criminal?
His efforts to overturn the election. That's criminal. He's been indicted for this, by the way.
I know he's been indicted.
Right. And he's been indicted for this, trying to overturn the election, trying to defraud the American people of their their right to vote and their votes. So,
Could you tell me the exact charge?
I can tell you the exact charges. It's like conspiracy to fraud, an attempt to defraud, things of that nature. But I want to just make this point quickly that what happened in 2016 was nowhere near what Donald Trump did in 2020. The day after the election,
I will 100% agree with you with that.
But I just want to point out the thing about Russia. The day after the election, Hillary Clinton conceded. She said, "Yeah, Donald Trump won the election fair and square," and she conceded, and she offered Donald Trump whatever support he needed, and she didn't contest the election results whatsoever. And with Gore v. Bush. She conceded. With Gore v. Bush in 2000, after the Supreme Court declared George Bush the winner, Gore presided over the Senate, over Bush's victory. This does not. John McCain, when he lost the night of, said that Obama has been elected president, offered him whatever support he needed. This does not happen. What Donald Trump did has never happened before in American history. And on the topic of 2016, when it came to Russia, it is objectively true that they They attempted to influence the 2016 election. This has been concluded by the FBI, our intelligence community, a bipartisan group of senators, both Democrats and Republicans, in an over 1,000-page report. And we have really weird connections between the Trump campaign and Russian officials, such as Russian officials meeting with Trump campaign officials, including Donald Trump's son, in Trump Tower. And then the Trump campaign giving them private polling data. It's like very weird connections. So the Democrats never did anything similar to that of Donald Trump.
No, they did not.
But Trump tried to overturn the election in 2020. Really bad, really wrong. Don't vote for that. That's all.
I do agree that what his efforts were wrong, and I agree with you on that. But again, with the election, I can't bring myself to vote for Vice President Harris, and it's not because I don't like her. It's not a personal thing. I don't agree with her platform, and the Republican platform I do agree with. So I'm gonna give it a shot. But I'm excited because it's my first year voting.
So let me ask you, what could Donald Trump do to lose your vote? Because he commits crimes. He's been found liable for assaulting women. He committed business fraud. Even his own medical advisor said that he mishandled the pandemic. His own vice president pick said that he didn't do well in the economy and that he was America's mustache man in 2016. All the people around him are no longer endorsing him. 40 out of his 44 cabinet officials aren't endorsing him. Former national security advisors like John Bolton, Mark Esper, and more have said that he's incompetent. He has no idea what he's doing. And these are people that were picked by Donald Trump. And he's been indicted in multiple different jurisdictions, still pending felony charges. So what can Donald Trump do to lose your vote, to make you say, you know what, this guy is bad for the country, even if I disagree with Kamala Harris?
He could completely turn from his platform. That's what would lose him my vote.
So Donald Trump can do anything outside of his platform, but as long as he agrees with the policies that you agree with, you're going to vote for him no matter what? Or
if he was found without a shadow of a doubt guilty for
for just crimes, felonies?
The felonies, I think, up in New York, I do think that was more. There were things with that trial that I didn't particularly. I'm sorry for my speech.
No, it's all good.
I found it a little fishy.
But then if I ask you what you found fishy about the trial, you won't know.
Oh, I will.
Okay, what did you find fishy about the trial?
The judge was very biased. I think.
Okay, can you give me an example of the judge being biased?
You got me there, Harry.
Yeah, but this is the point. The judge wasn't biased. The trial wasn't rigged. Donald Trump just committed crimes, and a jury of his peers, a jury that was selected by Trump and the prosecution, said that Donald Trump broke the law. So he commits crimes. He assaults women. You heard the list. I mean, what can this guy do to make you say, you know what, he should not be president of the United States? You can agree with him on policy, but you can also recognize that he should not be president.
I vote for policy, partner, and that's
what even is his policy?
Well, the Republican Party platforms. Now, if he completely turned from the platform, I would 100% not vote for him.
So,
But
like, you would elect a murderer who agrees with your views.
I want to go that far. There's a line.
Okay,
Now,
so is assaulting women not a line enough?
is that what he was found guilty for?
Yeah, in a court, he was found liable by a jury of his peers for assaulting a woman by the name of E. Jean Carroll.
Up in New York?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's where it took place.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah. So is assaulting women not a line that is too far?
Let me go do my research on that, Harry. Thank
Okay.
you for letting me know about that one.
Okay. You should definitely go do your research on this. It's your first election. I want you to be on the right side of history. And you and I can disagree on policy, but what I think we can hopefully both agree on is that democracy matters, and not electing criminals should be just the bare minimum we do here in the United States. You know what I mean? But anyway.
You got time to talk politics because I know you got a live stream, but I would like to have a discussion on policy if you're down for that.
Yeah, I'm going to try to cycle up people right now. But if you come back another day, I'm happy to talk to you for sure about policy.
Right, well, you have a good night. Thank you for letting
All
me.
right. Thank you, sir. Have a good one. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. Make sure to keep double tapping the screen. Let's try to get to 100,000 likes. If you boost the likes, it helps push out the live to more people. So definitely try to boost the likes. Fill up that entire bar. When it comes up, that pink bar, it helps go a long way. Make sure to drop a follow if you haven't already. Spam those shares down there. Look at you guys running up the likes already. My God, it's going insane up there. It's like you're like doing like 2,000 a second. I have some people here on Venmo and Cash App who are supporting. Brian, thank you for the $2. Hey man, I'm so sick of MAGA, and I posted my very first video and it was also political. There's so many triggered MAGA in the comments and some blue people though, which is great. Well, Brian, thanks for making your voice heard. I'm glad to hear it. I'm sorry about the MAGA lunatics, my man, but keep pushing forward. Your voice matters. Paula, thank you for the $5. Why do these MAGA cult members turn themselves into pretzels? I don't know. Paula, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. Zavi, thank you for the $1.11. As a woman, we don't claim MJ, so gross. Maya, thank you for the $1 saying, you're still cute. I appreciate you, Maya. Julie, thank you for the $5 saying, voted blue in Ohio today. We love people voting blue in the great state of Ohio. You got an important Senate race there. Keep that in mind. And then finally, Margaret with the $50 on Cash App saying MAGA BS. Good work, Harry. Margaret, I appreciate you so much for the $50. That is incredibly kind, incredibly generous. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, we love Margaret. Throw some W's in the chat for Margaret, man. Oh my gosh, look at this guy. Let's give this guy an invite. Susanna says voting blue in Georgia. Susanna, early voting has started in the great state of Georgia, the peach state. And look at Agatha says, I voted blue in Pennsylvania. God, I love it, man. God, I love it. All right, if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up and we can talk and you can tell me why on earth you are MAGA. All right, Adrian the Great. Master Chief is his, look at that, 100,000 likes that quickly, guys. You guys are amazing. You guys are fantastic people. I hope you know that. Make sure to keep double running. I can't speak. I just mixed two sentences together. Make sure to keep double tapping the screen and running up the likes. And W. Margaret. All right, man. Master Chief, don't let me down here, brother. Come on now. How old are you, bro?
26.
All right, why you MAGA, man? Why you MAGA?
Well, listen, one of the reasons why I'm going to be voting for Donald Trump is because of the fact that Kamala Harris is going to be banning peanut butter, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah? Is she doing that?
Yes.
Where is that policy proposal?
Well, actually, she told me that behind the scenes. A lot of people not know. You may not know this, but I work for...
You be all right now. You have a good rest of your night, bro. You have a good rest of your night, bro. Hey, I won't say anything mean about that guy. I won't say anything mean. I was gonna, subtly say something mean. I won't do that. We're better than that. I had somebody the other day tell me that they watch my lives and like Parker's lives and Chris's lives and Dean's lives, and they can tell that we're all getting much more frustrated. They can tell like we're much more, kind of like pissed off because we get close to the election. We're like, how the fuck are people still voting for Donald Trump? But anyway, I don't know if you guys have noticed that among all of us, but I certainly feel it. Or if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up. If you're MAGA, look at Amy in the chat. I want to give Amy an invite. She's yapping in the chat. Voted blue. Amazing user. I appreciate you. Michael says he's MAGA. Let's bring up Michael. Give him an invite. Brooke says they're MAGA. Here comes Brooke. I just heard that tonight.
Hi.
Hello. Why are you MAGA?
I'm MAGA for economic reasons.
Okay, what does that mean?
So I believe that the economy, pre-pandemic at least, was better under Trump than it is right now because of his policies.
Okay, what policies?
So the TCJA, and like I've listened to the committee on federal budget, I've done my research on the tax foundation, etc. And Trump's tariffs are awful. I could agree with that, but Kamala's ideas for not corporate tax rate, but tax on unrealized gains, credit, whatever, that is going to lead to a negative 2% growth rate in our GDP and will take away 800,000 jobs.
How do you feel about the fact that like Goldman Sachs and Penn Wharton have all done an analysis on Kamala Harris's economic policies and Donald Trump's, and they found that, at least Goldman Sachs found that in that kind of the mid range of the estimate, that Trump's policies would add $7 trillion to the debt. On the upper, it'd be around $15 trillion. Michael, I'm not done yet. Can you stop talking, please? In the middle, the mid-range estimate, it's $7 trillion. On the upper range, it's $15 trillion. On the lower range, it's around 4. Whereas Kamala Harris's, they say it would be significantly less, like 3 or 4 trillion in the mid-range. So how do you feel about that?
My response, excuse me, Michael, I'm speaking. So my response to that would be that, the only reason that, excuse me, Michael.
MAGA infighting, bro. What the hell?
Excuse me, Michael, I'm speaking. So the only reason why it is lower. No, I'm not.
You're not trolling?
I'm serious.
Okay.
I'm serious. So the reason as to why, it's lower under Kamala is due to the fact that, the corporate tax rate is increased. There's more taxes. So she makes more revenue for the economy. At the same time, that's bad for the average American citizen. You're taking away our jobs. You're giving money to the
trolling,
rich.
bro. You're fucking trolling, dude. You're trolling. You got to get out of here, bro. This is so obviously a troll, dude. Yeah, we're adding revenue, which means we take away job. Come on, bro. You got to be a little bit more convincing than that, man. Come on, man. All right, make sure to drop a follow if you haven't already. We do these lives all the time. I appreciate all of you guys. Let me know if you're MAGA in the chat. Let's bring up General Jacob. Maddie, thank you for the $5. I love you, Harry. I'm going to miss your daily lives after the election. Maddie, maybe the lives will continue in some different capacity. Maybe we'll do like a different topic, like just Democrats versus Republicans. I don't know if people would be interested in that, but I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. Yazzie, thank you for the $1 saying, I voted blue in Arizona today. Oh, Yazzie, you're fantastic. I appreciate you. You're doing great. You're amazing. General, can't believe. Anyway, Venmo Cash up in the link in the bio as well if you want to support the live. Why you MAGA?
I wouldn't say I'm MAGA, but I am undecided on this election. I am a college student right now, so I honestly don't have that much time to look into politics. So I've tried to talk to people on TikTok, on these debates, to get more of an idea on who to vote for and ideas. So I just want to tell you things that I've heard, tell me true, false, and who they help.
Sure.
Okay. First off, in Trump's case, when he was convicted of 34 felonies, is it true that the jury stated that they don't know what to they think he's guilty, but they can't decide what to convict him of?
No.
Is that true?
No, he was convicted of 34 felonies, all of those being falsifying business records in the first degree. Now, this case was a little bit more complex, so it wasn't just like, oh, you're being charged with murder, you get convicted or found not guilty of murder. The charge is falsifying business records in the first degree, and what prosecutors have to prove is that Donald Trump falsified business records with the intent of concealing or furthering another crime. Now, they don't have to prove that he committed that other crime. They just have to prove that he attempted to further or conceal another attempted crime. And they put a couple theories forward as to what those other crimes were. One of them was election interference. One of them was campaign finance violations, and so on and so forth. They put around 3 or 4 forward. So all the jury had to find was that Donald Trump falsified business records to further one of these crimes, and he was convicted of that. So they knew what the crime was. All of this is in jury instructions that you can look up if you'd like. But yeah.
Okay, so then that's false. Second thing. Immigration. I've always heard, and it's kind of obvious that it was lowered under Trump. Can you explain to me why that is?
Yeah, 100%. So under Donald Trump, it wasn't like all that low. From 2018 to 2019, apprehensions at the border actually doubled. So it wasn't, consistently low under Donald Trump. He just had such a secure border. And under Joe Biden, the reason the number went up is because of the COVID pandemic. The COVID pandemic forced a lot of people out of their home countries, those folks coming from mainly Southern American countries, or triangle countries, such as, different Southern American countries just generally. And those people tried to find new economic opportunity, and so they tried to come to the United States and enter during COVID, and that's why there was a bigger number. And also, of course, because there was some political conflict happening in countries like Venezuela, which for the past 5 to 10 years, has had a high level of immigration from that country to the United States. But especially recently, it's gotten really bad.
Also about immigration, is it true that Trump separated women from
Yes.
men and women from children?
Yes.
All three of those. That's true.
Yep, you can just look up, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can just look up family separation. That's what the policy was called, family separation under Donald Trump. And yeah, quite literally, the Border Patrol under Donald Trump, as part of guidance from him, would take children out of their mother's arms and separate them. Many of these kids have still not been reunited to this day with their families. The Biden administration has actually reunited a bunch of these families, but they're still working on that.
And one more thing, is it true that the Supreme Court said many things that Trump did was unconstitutional at the border?
Yeah. So a lot of things that Donald Trump tried to do were struck down by the Supreme Court. There were policies like his catch and release policies, remain in Mexico. Some of these didn't make its way to the Supreme Court, but lower courts struck them down.
Okay. Next, about the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris wants to put a national ban on price gouging, correct?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I think that this policy's been misconstrued. She doesn't want to cap prices, for example, but when it comes to corporations, unjustly raising prices on American consumers just so that they can make money and raising it faster than the rate of inflation by a lot. Yeah, she wants stiffer penalties for those companies.
And let me get this straight. Price gouging is when they increase a price for a good unnecessarily just because they know people are going to buy it.
Yes. It's like taking advantage of consumers.
And would you say the reason that the economy, like inflation, everything went up is a large part because of COVID-19?
Yes, that I would say not just a large part, the overwhelming part. Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think, obviously everyone said that Trump's economy was only good because it was actually Obama's economy?
Yep.
Was it Obama's economy through the entire Trump period, or because it steadily went through an increase in growth until COVID hit? So do you think?
Yeah,
Trump
I mean,
did
the
anything
increase in growth was just a linear increase. So there wasn't any exponential growth. There wasn't any noticeable growth as a result of Donald Trump. It just kind of steadily continued to grow, which, Donald Trump didn't really have anything to do. He didn't put in any economic policy to make it the case. He didn't do anything to make the economy better. He just kind of rode the wave of Obama's economy. And there's no line you can draw in the sand where you say, okay, so this is Obama's economy, this is Trump's economy. He just objectively rode that wave from Obama's economy.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, about wars. Is it true that treaties, people say, $6 billion is too much and we only can give this amount to the hurricane victims? Aren't we isn't a treaty states that we have to give money to Ukraine, and it's mandatory because that's what a treaty states, correct?
Yeah, so we had the Budapest Memorandum with Ukraine, which was signed in the 90s, where essentially we said, hey, if you denuclearize, we will protect you from invasion from Russia. And, that's a pretty strong agreement. It's an agreement that we're upholding right now. And it's important for a number of reasons. Not only is Ukraine our ally, but if we want to be able to denuclearize with other countries, then we have to be able to hold up to our word. Because, for example, if we just ditch Ukraine tomorrow, you say, screw the Budapest Memorandum. I know we took your nuclear weapons, but sorry, buddy, we're not engaging anymore. Then a future country like, I don't know, Iran, for example, or maybe even North Korea or some other country in the future that develops nuclear weapons would be less incentivized to denuclearize because our word has been broken. And they can just point to that to saying, well, hey, you're not a reliable partner.
Is it true that Trump said if he becomes president, if Putin stops advancing in Ukraine, he'll take out all his weapons, all the money, and just leave? Is that what he said?
Can you say that again? I don't know. I'm not really understanding the question.
So Trump said if Putin stops advancing and attacking in Russia and keeps the amount of land that they already have, Trump will stop
Okay.
funding.
See what you're saying. Yeah, I think like Trump's overall position on Ukraine is that he just doesn't like funding regardless. So even if Russia continues to advance, he's been very critical of Ukraine aid and funding Ukraine. So I don't think it really matters as to whether they just stop and take the land or they continue moving. I don't think Trump will continue to fund Ukraine. And it's also important to note that Donald Trump said that if he wins, he'll just allow Putin and Russia to do whatever, quote, whatever the hell they want with NATO countries if those NATO countries don't meet their dues.
Okay. About Israel and Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist group, correct?
Yes.
But is it true? Like, can you explain to me what's happening? Because I've heard like Israel's doing horrible things to Hamas, and goes both ways. Like, what started all of this? Like, what's going on? What happened? Like, just the overview. Don't go too into depth.
Yeah, I mean, I think the history is really, really long, so I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. But at least in the past, like, year or so, what happened is on October 7th, Hamas, the terrorist group, launched an attack on Israel. It was brutal. I mean, the largest attack on Jewish people since World War II. And then since then, Israel's been responding, and the response has certainly not been appropriate. It's been very one-sided, very lopsided, very violent, and we see like tens of thousands of kids dying. So I think Kamala Harris's position is that we agree that Israel has a right to protect themselves, and the H group is really bad. But at the end of the day, the response has to be measured, and we have to care for innocent lives more than we're doing right now.
Okay, that makes sense. So basically, we support Israel, but we also agree that they need to stop doing these war crimes. Correct?
There you go. It's something along those lines. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for speaking with me. I think you have convinced me to vote. Everything you said makes sense. And one thing more that I would like to ask is, when, for example, I saw this other person, he asked about a source, you pulled it up in 5 seconds. What source do you have? How do you find it? You're such good at finding good sources. I'm like, how do you do this?
Yeah. So I think, I guess when it comes to like claims you don't know about, I think just like looking them up generally and saying like, I don't know, like Kamala Harris's policy on Iran, and then you can like read and get specifics from there and then pull up sources on the specifics. But when it comes to things like fact checking or a specific story, you can just look up Iran, 109 US soldiers, traumatic brain injuries. Or if you're curious about whether something's true or not, I really encourage people to just look up their claim and then literally put fact check after it. So let's just say like Donald Trump claimed that Joe Biden threw a water bottle at a wall. I don't know, some stupid shit, right? Just look up, did Joe Biden throw a water bottle at a wall? Fact check. And then a number of sources that can come up and fact check this stuff. There are actually websites dedicated to fact checking, such as PolitiFact, for example, that specifically focus on like political claims. So I think it's a combination of those things. I think you should read the news every single day. I read the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, articles like that, and you learn a lot from that.
Yeah, I try to, like, when I'm doing studying, I try to keep the news on, just listening to it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why I pick up these little things. But at the same time, we all know that media news is biased either towards liberal or conservative.
Sure.
So that's why I like to talk to many people to get their ideas and trying to create my own ideas from both sides.
Yeah, man. Well, just one question for you. What state are you voting in?
I am originally from Florida, but I'll be voting in Maryland because that's where I'm at college.
Gotcha. Well, make sure to vote for your senator, Angela Alsobrook. She's pretty great. So anyway, I'll leave it there.
Thank you for speaking with me.
All right, man. You have a good one. I appreciate it. Nice guy. Look at this person in the comment coming to my defense. Jerry Beth, you don't scare Harry. Let him know. Who is that guy? That keeps yapping? Who is that guy? Let's bring him up here. Come on, man. Don't run now. Where is that comment again? Where is that comment again? I want to find out who they're talking about. I don't know. Who was it? Does anybody know in the chat? Can anybody identify them to me in the chat? Anybody? Whoever it was that was running. Yo, JW, thank you for the $25, man. I appreciate you so much. We can keep the conversation going after the elections. Thank you for what you do, as always. Yeah, I appreciate you, JW, for the $25. That's incredibly generous. We'll have to figure out what we do after the election. And maybe I'll take some suggestions from you guys as to like, maybe we just do Democrats versus Republicans. Maybe that's just what it is. You know, because the work continues. Seriously, the work continues. Kate, oh my God, Kate. Thank you for the $100. Hi, Harry. Just wanted to thank you for all that you do. It means so much to use your platform to advocate for women and a better future for America. Hard to truly put into words how grateful and proud I am. Keep it up. Yo, Kate, $100. That is incredibly generous. That is so kind. Please show some love for Kate in the chat. Just fill the chat with W's. W Kate in the chat. She is fantastic. And thank you for fighting. I know you're doing it in your private life. You might not be posting on TikTok, for example, but I know that you're talking to friends, family, and loved ones. I know that you're putting in the work every single day. And I appreciate you. Just understand that I appreciate you too. This is no one-way street. This ain't no one-way street, Kate. You're on the street as well. Come on. Jenna, thank you for the $1 as well, saying voted blue in Wisconsin. Jenna, you're amazing. I appreciate you. You're fantastic. I hope you know that, especially in your great state of Wisconsin. Bring your friends, family, and loved ones to the polls as well. Get them to vote, would you, Kate? And Jenna, please, my God. Sarah, thank you for the $5 as well. Might be worth bringing up how Trump's Bible omits constitutional amendments 11 through 27, since MAGA wants to act like he loves democracy and the Constitution. Did not know that, Sarah. That's interesting. And JW, again, with the $100 saying you're awesome. Cook them all, please. Please show some love for JW in the chat, my man. JW is always here supporting the live. So if you're here, please show him some love. Please fill the chat with W's for JW. Oh my God, dude, that's incredibly kind. Thank you, JW. Thank you, Sarah. Jenna, voting blue in Wisconsin. We love you. Kate, thank you for the $100 as well again. And JW again. Oh my God. You guys are fantastic. Venmo, Cash App in the link in the bio if you want to support the live. And make sure to drop a follow if you haven't already. Double tap the screen. Let's try to get up to 200,000 likes. It helps boost the live and all that good stuff. All right, come back here, buddy. Come back here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yep, there you go. Why you MAGA, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, I am MAGA and I am proudly gay. I am supporting Donald Trump because I attended one of his rallies in Indiana, which is where we're at. Obviously, most likely going to be a red state is almost every election. But I am MAGA because he, in person, we had our own section at one of his rallies because he actually called us out and he said, thank you for supporting me. And I love the gay community. And he says that he has done so much for the gay community. And he really has, because when I was in Chicago, I lived in Chicago for a little bit. And there's a reason why I left, because when Joe Biden got into the office, things just went downhill in the gay community bad. Like, it was called the Gayborhood. And it's by Lincoln Park, which is just south of Wrigley Field. Donald Trump was literally, everything was cheap in our neighborhood. All the gas prices, all of the groceries, everything. And the gay bars were like, drinks and everything at the gay bars were at their lowest prices. And when Joe Biden got into the office, and it actually really didn't start until like 2022, all of the prices, everything in my neighborhood went skyrocketing. And I know it wasn't because of Trump, because Trump had already been out of office for 2 years. And that's when I started, and I moved to like an hour and a half to South Bend, Indiana. So when I moved to South Bend, Indiana, obviously things were cheaper. It's not a big city. It's maybe the fifth biggest city in Indiana. And things were a lot cheaper. Things are doing a lot better now, but still, obviously, prices are up. And I just want to know, why should I vote? Why should I vote for Kamala when she's saying that she can change all these prices, make the prices go down and everything, when she could already do it right now?
So just to be clear, your entire argument is that prices were lower under Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
I feel like we could have said that in less words, no? The prices going up has nothing to do with Joe Biden. You're using a correlation causation fallacy, saying that just because something happened under Joe Biden means it's his fault, which we would both agree is not true. For example, just because somebody is killed in a city under Donald Trump doesn't mean that it's Donald Trump's fault. So the prices going up has nothing to do with Joe Biden. Can you tell me how Joe Biden caused prices to go up?
I never really understood that. But the thing was, people blame it on COVID all the time. People say, I honestly, okay, yes, COVID. People are saying that, because right before Donald Trump left office, people were saying, oh, gas prices are at its low. Yes, they were. And people were trying to say that was because of COVID, because people weren't leaving their house. People weren't I honestly don't know if that's the truth.
It is the truth.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. You'll notice that they went down during COVID. They were not that low before COVID. There's a reason they went down during COVID. Nobody was buying gas. Donald Trump even made an agreement with OPEC countries to cut the production of oil because at one point, oil was trading for negative dollars, meaning that instead of selling somebody a barrel of oil, you would have to pay them to take oil off of your hands. So these countries want to make money off of oil. So they actually came to an agreement to cut oil production, which was part of the reason that supply was down globally, which led to an increase in gas prices. So it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. He didn't lower gas prices. He didn't keep your prices low.
So my question is then, because when we had rioting in Chicago, that's when I literally decided I have had enough. I'm not living here anymore. That's why I went to Indiana. And it's a lot better, obviously. But the reason why I left, a big reason, was because of the rioting. And our mayor at the time, she was an absolute idiot. She did not do anything for Chicago. All she did was tweet about the Chicago Sky WNBA's team. That's all she literally did. She did not do anything. Honestly, the best thing she did was make it so we could actually get into games like halfway through 2021 when all the other cities were not letting anybody into the games because of COVID and stuff like that. That's honestly the only thing. Like, I could get into Bears games, but I had to wear a mask and show proof of vaccination. That's literally the only good thing that she has done, because obviously, I like going to games. And it's a big city. There's a lot to do. But there's not too much. We couldn't do anything, obviously, because of COVID. And we had to wait over 2 years, Harry, over 2 years to get most of our stores just.
So that's state policy. State policy. That's not federal policy. It's state policy.
And that is why, Illinois, obviously, because of Chicago, is never going to be red. If it wasn't for Chicago, Illinois would definitely be red. And that's why I moved out.
Yeah, that's like saying if it weren't for like 4 million people who live in Chicago, then it would be a red state. It's like, okay, well, if you take like a bunch of people out of a state, yeah, it might go in a different political leaning.
Yes, maybe so, but I just don't understand. Okay, you take Chicago out. Be honest, Harry. Be honest. There are a lot of liberals in Chicago. A lot of lost people. You
don't even have you can't call these people lost if you don't even know why you support Donald Trump, man. Like, it's crazy.
I know why I support Donald Trump.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
I don't know why you. Maybe it's because like your family supports Trump, or like your friends support Trump, or something like that.
My family actually hates him. My family hates him.
I don't know what went wrong, man. Because just make it quick. Like, why do you support Trump? Like, what are your top 3 reasons?
I support Trump, one, because obviously, like I said, I attended one of his rallies. He was very kind, he was just a good man to everybody there. Mm-hmm. And number two is because when he was in office, my life was at the greatest. I am 21 years old, 22, just turned 22 August 6th. So my life was at, yes, I was like 5 years younger, but still, when I was in high school, my first car was cheap as hell. Everything was cheaper. My life was a lot better. I could afford things. I can't afford anything now. I had to move back at home with my family because my rent went up twice as much. twice as much under the Biden administration than it was under the Trump administration.
Okay, what's reason number 3?
Reason number 3,
if you have one.
excuse me. Reason number 3 is Donald Trump will not ban our guns. Kamala Harris has literally said in the past that she wants to ban all assault rifles, weapons, everything. Everything.
Interesting. So number 1, him being nice to you at a rally and like shouting you out is not a reason to support him. Right? Because there's plenty of people he wasn't nice to that we know of, such as E. Jean Carroll when he assaulted her in a changing room, shoved his fingers inside of her without her consent. So not great. So he wasn't very nice to her when that happened. Number 2, as we just discussed, your prices being lower under Trump has nothing to do with Trump. And I can guarantee you, I'd bet my entire life savings, I'd bet the house on the fact that if Donald Trump wins, your prices are not going to come down dramatically. There is no mechanism of which the president can just reduce prices. And if there were a mechanism to do that, don't you think Joe Biden would have done it? If he can just somehow magically lower the prices at the grocery store? Do you think Donald Trump has this like secret policy that nobody's ever thought of before? These brilliant economists out there just haven't been able to come up with, that the president could just like lower your price of milk? You think are you really that bought into the Donald Trump lie that you think he's some genius? I mean, please. And then third of all, has Joe Biden banned your guns?
Not yet.
Has Kamala Harris tried to ban your guns under her vice presidency?
No. But
okay, so why do you suddenly believe that Kamala Harris, who has a gun, are going to suddenly ban guns?
She will. And I can see it coming because...
What do you mean? You guys say this all the time. You say it under every Democratic president. Obama's going to take your guns. That was the first time. Oh, well, if you reelect Obama, he's going to take your guns. Joe Biden's going to take your guns. Kamala Harris is going
to... Obama wasn't going to do anything. I actually liked Obama. I did.
And he likes Kamala Harris. He endorses her.
Yes, and I don't support him for that. I like him as a person. I have actually met him when he was in Chicago.
He's great.
From Chicago.
You love it.
He's a great person. And the one thing that I wanted to say was Donald Trump called for new policies to attack radical terrorism. And remember that, citing the deadly nightclub shootings in Orlando? It was a gay club. Remember?
Yeah.
And he said he would do everything in his power to protect the LGBTQ citizens from hateful ideology.
Why did he oppose the Equality Act then? You know what the Equality Act is? It extends current civil right protections to the LGBTQ plus community. Protects based on sexual orientation and gender, which was quite literally protects people like you.
Okay.
Why didn't Donald Trump oppose that law? If he supports the gay community so much, why doesn't he support that law?
You got me there. I couldn't tell you that, but I just
maybe he's lying. You ever consider that?
I mean, no, not usually, but I mean, maybe he is. I mean, we've all lied in our life. I lie, you lie. I mean,
of course. I'm not saying that. I'm not expecting Donald Trump to be perfect. That for him to never lie, and I'm not saying that anybody should be expected to never lie and never be bad at some point in their life. But the point is that Donald Trump is going around and lying to your face, and you're buying into it. That suddenly he protects the LGBTQ plus community, when in reality he doesn't. And if he really did, he would have put his money where his mouth is and supported the Equality Act, but he didn't. You know who does though?
What?
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris supports the Equality Act, supports protections for people like you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you should vote for people who want to protect you and your right to marry whoever you want to marry. You know what's also the case? You know Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court? You familiar with him?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, so Clarence Thomas is this ultra-conservative Supreme Court justice, and he's been there for like 30 years, right? And this is somebody that Donald Trump has praised and said that future judges that he appoints, he wants to be modeled after Clarence Thomas. When Roe v. Wade was overturned, Clarence Thomas wrote in his concurring opinion that cases such as Obergefell, thank you for the galaxy, Obergefell need to be looked at again. You know, are you familiar with Obergefell?
No, I'm not.
Obergefell is a Supreme Court case that protected gay marriage. So Trump is saying he wants to appoint judges who are molded in the same way that Clarence Thomas is, and Clarence Thomas is saying that cases that allow for gay marriage, for you to marry whoever you want in any state, need to be looked at again. So are you just what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Well, I just know that I felt safe when after those nightclub shootings in Orlando, the whole world was watching. The whole world watched the LGBTQ, and everybody was very supportive, Democrats and Republicans, everybody. Because when I saw that, after that had happened, guess what happened in the gay community in Chicago? We got metal detectors or wands. We got basically like airports security type stuff through the nightclubs, the gay nightclubs especially. And I don't know if that was because of him or if it was a state thing, but I just know he said in a tweet after that night, he said, I will fight for you. I will fight for the LGBTQ community. And then a couple weeks later, we got those metal detectors in, and then to make sure there were no weapons on anybody. I mean, I felt safer after that. And again, I don't know if that was him that did that or if it was a state thing, but after he said that, I felt a lot safer, because after he said that, there were a lot of things still going on in the country. Yes, there were. I mean, every day there's stuff goes on in the country, especially with the gay community. There's a lot of people that don't respect us, but there is a lot of people that do respect us. So
it's the Democrats.
Yes. But I have most of my friends are Republican, and they support me. They support the gay community.
Yeah, I just want to be clear that so Trump sending out a tweet saying that he's going to protect you also means nothing, right? He's all talk, no bite. So, and also those metal detectors that you got, I'm not familiar with that certain story. It's like a neighborhood in Chicago. I don't know. Those are most likely because of the city, not because of Donald Trump. And I just want to be clear. In recent years, there's been a movement in the Republican Party that Donald Trump has fed into, that gay people or trans people or people that do drag are coming after your children, and they're trying to put it in schools. Trump and the Republican Party that you're voting for have demonized people like you, saying that you are targeting people in their schools. They are trying books in school that include gay couples. Instead of the couple being a traditional heterosexual couple, some of these books include a gay couple. Republicans have fought to get those books banned because the main characters are gay. So I would not vote for people who view you as that. That's all.
I honestly, like I said, Harry, you're kind of catching me. You got me thinking about it now, because
sure.
I'm kind of like, at first I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't or vote for Trump. And then I was like, well, basically the only thing that was the only reason why I want to vote for him again was because, things were cheaper. Everything was cheaper then. And maybe it's because, and maybe it's not Biden's fault that you told me it wasn't his fault. It was having the pandemic and everything. Maybe it wasn't Biden's fault that everything, but it should. The only thing I don't get, Harry, why has it taken 4 years after 2020, which is when COVID started? Why are prices still going up? Why are prices still the same as when they were when it was in 2020? Like, if you can tell me why that is, I promise you right now, I will vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah. So
Kamala.
Here's the thing. Inflation happens every single year, right? There's typically, in even like your best economic years under Trump, for example, even under Donald Trump, there was inflation every single year, around 2%. So every single year, your prices go up. The reason that prices are still going up is because there's always going to be inflation. There's never really going to be no inflation or negative inflation when prices going down. And, for example, when you went to the grocery store in like the middle of 2019, your grocery store visit was more expensive than in the middle of 2017. And that was under Donald Trump. So prices just always go up. There's no real way to be like, yeah, we're going to send prices back to like $1 for, a McDonald's burger. Right. That's just not going to happen. Yeah. And it's not necessarily the inflation going up in the past couple of years has been a lot because of the COVID pandemic. But it's not necessarily a problem if inflation goes up, as long as wages are increasing quicker than inflation. And wages have been going up faster than inflation for quite some time now. So it's all kind of leveled out. We're back in a level area, a level state, but it just spiked in that period of time simply because of COVID and the pandemic. And I would encourage you to like not only take my word for it, but look at countries around the world. Look at economies like Great Britain, France, Germany, Japan. They all had prices spike because of the pandemic. And obviously Joe Biden is not causing prices to spike in Great Britain. They just all experienced something similar to what the United States experienced, which was global inflation. It happened everywhere. Their inflation rates spiked at around the same time that ours did. It was not just the United States. It was a global phenomenon. So why have prices continue to go up? Why are prices still high? That's why. And if Trump wins, there's no way that he's going to be able to just lower prices. And he also hasn't told you how he's going to do that because he can't. So,
but what if, but I will say there's always a what if. And what if Trump, let's say, what if Trump does get elected and what if prices do go down? What would you have to say about that? I mean, there's always a what if.
Sure. I mean, look, in a dream world, whoever gets elected is able to do that. And if it's Trump, then great. If it's Kamala Harris, then great. But the fact of the matter is that what if is not reality. I mean, what if Donald Trump rides a tiger into the White House? What if Kamala Harris, takes over all of Russia because she was so mean to Putin? It's like there are what ifs with literally anything. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be done or that it's even likely that it's going to happen or that it's even possible that it's going to happen. So Trump is just not going to lower your prices. And he runs on this lie. He lies to you, says, I'm going to do it. But in reality, there is no way. And it's really gross that he does that. So anyway.
Yeah. He hasn't, I really haven't said what I have not heard him say how he was going to do that, but maybe I need to look more into Kamala so far I haven't found any clips of her saying how she was going to lower prices either. So I don't know who, it's the toss up. I don't know.
Sure. I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples, and I'll make it really quick, I promise. So in healthcare, for example, the Biden administration with Kamala Harris has capped insulin at $35 a month for seniors on Medicare. Inhalers capped at $35 a month. Starting in 2025 for seniors, for their out-of-pocket expenses for prescription drugs, capped at $2,000 a year. Normally for these people, it might cost, like for your insulin, like $400 a month. Now it's capped at $35 a month. That's lowering costs. Kamala Harris, you talked about rent. First of all, your rent going up twice, having to move home. I'm so sorry. That's terrible, right?
I appreciate that.
What Kamala Harris wants to do is build 3 million new houses in her first 4 years in office. And she's not using the federal government to do that, not money. What she would do is give tax breaks and tax subsidies to contractors so that they build these houses like apartment buildings and single family homes. So folks like us, I'm 22, you're 22, we have the ability to buy a house, and it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars for your first house. She wants to do that. She also wants to give first-time home buyers, which presumably you might be, $25,000 in down payment assistance. Now, we have down payment assistance programs in cities all around the country. Probably Chicago has one, and they're really, really effective. So doing it on a national level, making it easier for us to buy a house and bringing down those rent costs because there's more houses to be rented, that sounds pretty good to me. Now, housing, when it comes to Donald Trump, has no policy. He has not told us what he's going to do.
I have not heard.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that. I will say I have not heard. I will do some research, but I have not heard Trump say anything about housing yet. I figured that would go under the same category as lowering prices, because he said he was going to lower prices of everything, including housing. So I was assuming that was what he meant at the same thing. And I don't, you talk about how everybody talks about how Donald Trump, what was it, 34 counts or something like that. And, but at the same time, and people call him a rapist and stuff like that. But P. Diddy, literally Kamala, and there is picture and video proof of Kamala walking with P. Diddy on a red carpet as one of his side chicks.
That's not true.
You can look that video up. Yes.
Yeah. The video, let's do this together. Ready?
Unless that's not her, but that really, really looks like her. And everybody, it was, because he even said, this is Kamala. And it's.
Yeah. So this is actually a really important conversation we're about to have. This is a really important thing to discuss. So it's not true. Those photos were digitally altered. I have a fact check right in front of me. Well, if this ad would stop. It's from Reuters. I can flip it around for you if you like. I know it's backwards. It says, fact check, image of Kamala Harris and Sean Diddy Combs was digitally altered. These photos were fake, and they were spread by a lot of Republicans online to try to smear Kamala Harris, to say, oh, she's with P. Diddy or something like maybe. Is this the photo you saw?
No, there was a video, but maybe, I don't know. There was a video of her walking down a red carpet with him.
Yeah,
and he said, "This is Kamala." He said, "This is Kamala." I mean, you should look. You should see the video.
Yeah, so that's actually not P. Diddy. That was Willie Brown, and it was Willie Brown, and somebody just mistook him for P. Diddy. Or I have seen videos of that very video with P. Diddy's face like digitally put onto his body. So there's no connection between the two. All of this stuff has been AI'd or digitally altered. And it's because Republicans are trying to spread a lie about Kamala Harris. But here's the funny thing.
What?
You know who actually used to hang out with P. Diddy sometimes?
Trump.
You know who used to hang out with Epstein? Trump.
Well, yeah, but there was a lot of, you can't tell me there was most of Hollywood hung out with P. Diddy. I mean, come on, Harry. There was pictures of Leonardo DiCaprio, who I used to like, and now knowing that he was hanging out with, but I mean, I've never really seen any photos of Trump with P. Diddy. I think I saw one, but when he was sitting at a table next to him or something like that. But I will say, there's a lot of, if not like 80% of Hollywood that is not, I mean, even some people our age, like, I mean, there's so many people hanging out with P. Diddy, and it's sickening, yes, knowing what the stuff that he did and they did. And that's why I really don't like Hollywood and their, agenda anymore, and what they say they stand for. But at the same time, they're the pedophiles, and how they raise awareness for, we're going to raise awareness for, like, they have their own charities, hashtag Me Too, or whatever the pedophile hashtag thing is. What?
Okay, well, first of all, two things. I want to correct myself. It was not Willie Brown. It was Montel Williams. Willie Brown is somebody else that she dated when she was younger. So it was actually my bad. It was Montel Williams. But that's a picture of her and Montel Williams, not P. Diddy.
Okay. That's who it was. Okay.
But just out of what were you saying about hashtag and the P word? What are you talking about here? Hollywood and whatnot?
Hollywood always says that how they don't support pedophilia and all of that BS, but yet at the same time, they were the ones that those people that said that, like Leonardo DiCaprio, like I said, who was basically right there in the picture, J-Lo, those were all the people that were saying, oh, we don't support that. But yet they were going to P. Diddy whiteout parties in all white, doing a lot of dirty things. And they confessed to it.
Hold on.
There's a list.
What, a list of what?
Of people that attended those parties and was doing stuff, Harry.
So I'm sure that people attended the parties, and I'm sure that they're famous people, but I don't know about like Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know about these specific people. But what I would say is that, again, there are a lot of allegations thrown out around a lot of people. It is so important to fact check this stuff. I can almost guarantee that Leonardo DiCaprio did not admit to doing bad things to people. Number one, probably because that'd be a really stupid strategy. But number two, I just can't really envision that taking place. Not that, he's not, not that he's a perfect person, but that there was like this secret underground thing going on in Hollywood. That's also another huge conspiracy theory among conspiracy theorists, that like Hollywood is a cabal of people who are like going after children. Just to be clear, there's no evidence for that. There's no extensive evidence for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is just stuff that I see on X. There's your problem. I know you're on Twitter. I follow you on Twitter. I know of course, I see what you post, and then I see what other people post. There's a lot of different things, again, that I am still kind of like, I don't know what to believe anymore.
That's your problem. You should not. Twitter is great or X, whatever it is, in some ways. But there are a lot of people on that app who are just liars. They're just liars.
I don't like Elon, and I know he owns it. So
Elon, there's so many huge accounts on that app who will post whatever, say whatever to get clicks. There are people who say, that, Kamala Harris was with P. Diddy, or that there's a list of famous people. It's all not true. Like, please rely on reputable outlets like the Associated Press or Reuters for fact checks. Just look all this stuff up. Do not rely on tweets. I know that when there's like a picture and like a breaking and all these different, it can be very convincing. And when something's like especially egregious to you, you kind of like see it pop out on your screen. You're like, oh my God, that's terrible. Naturally, psychologically, you're more likely to just believe it because of how shocking it is.
Right.
But you have to keep a stable mind and realize, okay, well, let's back up for a second. Maybe let's do a little bit more research into this. And so, long story short, Twitter is a cesspool right now. So I would, fact check a little bit more. That's all.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you having me on and taking a good amount of time. So I apologize, but
no apologies.
I appreciate what you do on here. I am still on. I'm still. You got me. I was like 90% chance voting for Trump. You got me down to 50, 45.
I'll take it.
I'm trying to.
I'll take it.
I'm trying to. Sure. I'm really confused. Obviously, still. I'm just trying to figure out some more things. Maybe look on some more stuff on. What do you suggest? Sure. Like websites or stuff like that to look for on Kamala's agenda and stuff like that instead of X?
Yeah, absolutely. Kamala Harris's website, or I would encourage you to watch some of her speeches. I would encourage you to watch a town hall she recently did with Univision where she talked about policy and things of the nature. There's a town hall coming up, I think on the 23rd of October, she's doing with CNN because Donald Trump wouldn't debate her again. So she's doing a town hall. Maybe tune into that. But for sure, man, like definitely sit with this, take some time to think about it, look into it a little bit more. That's all I can ask of you.
Yeah, and I noticed somebody in your comments just said, it's okay to be different, vote for us, or vote with us, she said. And I was like, well, I do appreciate that. I mean, I've had that said to me on both sides. So, I mean, it's just, I appreciate you giving me some tools and websites, I can check. But like I said, it was at 90% Trump, now probably at 45% Trump now. So, and I appreciate everybody following me. You guys don't need to follow me. You guys need to follow Harry.
Hell yeah.
But I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah.
I appreciate you supporting me and all of the, other LGBTQ community.
Absolutely.
You guys are really awesome. And I will definitely, somebody just said Fox News is having her on. I'm really interested.
Yes.
What she's going to say. And I think that is going to be a very important interview that I'm going to be watching. And to be honest, I think that is like one of the interviews that could decide my vote. So I'm really looking forward to that. So
amazing. Well, hey, listen, you're welcome to come back another day. If you have further questions about this stuff, happy to talk again for sure.
Thank you. God bless you, Harry.
All right, man. Have a good one. I appreciate it.
Yep. You too. Bye.
I'm telling you, I'm so confident in what I'm about to say. I'm telling you, there are so many Kamala Harris supporters out there who just don't know that they are, right? They agree with Kamala Harris, but they just, they're busy. They have life. They have a job. They go to school. They don't pay attention to politics all day like I do. And they are misled to believe that, maybe Donald Trump aligns with me more. I truly believe that. Gianna, thank you for the $10. Thank you for advocating for women. Gianna, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. That goes an incredibly long way. Molly, thank you for the $2. The Chicago girl in me is screaming on the inside. I feel that. Lee, thank you for the $50. A gay woman in Nevada who mailed in my ballot today for Kamala Harris and Dem all the way down. Why? Because I value my marriage and my democracy. Please educate. Lee, thank you so much for your $50 and thank you for voting blue all the way down the ballot in your great state of Nevada. It's going to be close there and you're part of that and you're going to make it happen for Kamala Harris and Jackie Rosen. Don't forget about her. But yeah, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate that. And JW with another $50. My man is did a 25, 100, now 50, a little bit extra because you have to deal with this BS every day. Your patience is uncanny and you deserve all the support. Jason, my man, JW, thank you so much. Fill the chat with W's for JW and Lee. These are some amazing folks out here supporting me and supporting democracy. It's great. So shout out JW, man. I really appreciate that. Soren, thank you for the $1 saying these people have no idea what they're talking about. Harry, keep killing it. I appreciate you, Soren. Thank you so much. Nancy, holy I won't swear. I was about to swear. Nancy, thank you for the $100 saying, keep up the great work, Harry. Appreciate all you do and how well informed and cogent your answers are. Thank you so much. Nancy, thank you so much for the $100. That is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly kind. Please fill the chat with W's for Nancy. That is so generous. I appreciate you so much, times a million. So 100 W's in the chat for Nancy, please, and for JW and for Lee and everybody. I mean, these are good folks here. Wow, Nancy, really generous. Amanda, thank you for the $5 for the last guest. Trump segregated them at a rally so he could say, see, look at all these gay people. We don't support them in their rights, demonizing them in their schools. But look how many still support me. How crazy is that? That's actually a good point. I didn't even think of that about that, Amanda. That's a really good point. Elizabeth, thank you for the $1. I fact checked my Republican relatives. That's great. That's great. Fact checking is wonderful. It's one of the best things. One of the best things you can do. I'm going to bring up like a couple of people right now. Jody, thank you for the $10. I appreciate you saying you're doing a great job. I've learned a lot from you. Jody, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for fighting hard for democracy and being part of all this. You're amazing. I hope you know that. And I cannot tell you how much it means to me, the fact that you're here watching and supporting. Whitney, thank you for the $5 saying you're doing the Lord's work, Harry. I appreciate that, Whitney. That's very kind. You're doing great work as well. I know you all are on your personal level. And Ashley, thank you for the $5, helping change minds one at a time. We try, Ashley. We try. Listen, we're going to get into the next debates. Make sure to double tap the screen. Let's try to get up to 300,000 likes super quickly. Fill up that entire bar when you're double tapping the screen. And maybe do it twice, and also drop a follow if you haven't already. We do these lives all the time. And last thing I'll say before we dive right in is follow me on all the different platforms. I post on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. I'm posting a lot on Snapchat right now, so if you want to add me on Snapchat, link in bio. It's fun. All right, gentlemen, who wants to start?
I'll go ahead and start. So, Harry, I want to know what formed your views. What are some of the things that went into formulating your opinions? I see you're a White House intern, I believe. I want to
not a White House intern.
Oh, okay. Well, I
do not work
pictures. Okay. Well, I saw the pictures on your Instagram and everything. Figured that's what you did.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I want to know what formed your opinions. Was it family? Was it did you do speech and debate? Like, what kind of formulated your opinions?
Yeah, never did speech and debate. Never did Model UN or anything like that. But what it was just a combination of things. I think it was just a mix of morals and values and reading since I was like 15 or 16 years old on this stuff and really trying to become informed on the issues. And I think that when you read enough on politics, you begin to learn that the Democrats are just objectively better, in my view, when it comes to policy, when it comes to...
Subjectively or objectively?
Objectively, in my view. Of course, obviously politics is subjective, but I think it's so clear that I use the word objective just for
So
emphasis.
What were some of the readings that inspired that?
Yeah, I started off with political books. I started off with forgetting the name of the book.
The most transformative book that kind of formed your opinion you forgot about, or like?
No, it's this book called How Democracies Die. I'm forgetting on who the authors were, but it's a great book, How Democracies Die. I also read Bernie Sanders' entire book. I read Obama's book. I read a book about democracies all over the world. They evaluated 13 different countries. I'm forgetting the name of that book. I read Ezra Klein's book on partisanship and divide in media. Trying to think of others. Anyway, those are just a couple I've read that really influenced my views. Cool. And of course, just reading the news every single day and stuff.
Yeah, what are your news outlets and everything? Are you mostly in the echo chamber of like CNN, MSNBC, and all that stuff?
No, not at all. I read the New York Times, the Washington Post. I read Fox News.
Obviously, New York Times is going to be a little bit more left leaning, in terms of that. But you do watch Fox
I think
News.
they're pretty good. I think
you can't sit here and tell me the New York Times is like centrist. Come on, man.
I'd say they're pretty close to the center. I'd say maybe they have a left tilt if you want to put
they're
them
not like Reuters or AP or any of that, but I did see you cite Reuters. And AP.
Yeah, Reuters and AP as well.
Those are obviously going to be the most credible sources and stuff. But, from everything I'm hearing, we were talking about Ezra and all the other, authors and stuff. It seems like you've been in this echo chamber for quite some time. Have you spent time really, with conservatives outside of this platform to really
understand? Do you see what we do every single night?
Can you let me finish?
Sure. I'm just pointing out the irony. That's all.
Kind of thing. Did you really understand, what it is that they go through? Do you understand what formulates these opinions in their minds, or do you just kind of make assumptions about them and their views and everything? Because that's just what it presents like. You just present as this smug guy kind of makes all these assumptions and everything. Oh yeah, there's a smirk, there's a laugh, you know.
I just
and it's
find
really
it,
just it's
smug is funny.
off-putting. And if you really want to convert people and try to get people to root for you and your side and everything, you're not going to accomplish it by being, oh, there's a smirk, there's a laugh, dude. I'm just telling you. At the end of the day,
my best friend is a libertarian.
Oh, I mean, that's great. He's not conservative. He's a libertarian at that point. I mean, yeah, you can tell,
he typically leans more conservative though, but he's not voting for Donald Trump, for example. But you were talking about me interrupting you, so now you're going to let me speak. My best friend is actually a conservative. I have a lot of people I'm very close with actually that disagree with me a lot on policy. You're saying like, oh, you've been in an echo chamber. It's just you obviously don't know, who I've interacted with, and those are just some of the books I've read. Just can you be quiet, please? These are just some of the books I've read on it. Can you be quiet, please? These are just some of the books I mentioned that of many. These are not the only books I've read. And so I have friends that are conservative, read books from both sides of the aisle. I don't think that books like on democracy and how democracies fall are partisan. I think it's just more of like a historical study. And the fact that you might like view that as, I'm not done yet, excuse me, can you let me finish? I think that the fact that you view that as like partisan is interesting and maybe a sign of modern American politics. But also, I do also finally find it ironic that you're up here saying that I'm in an echo chamber when every single night I talk to people who disagree with me. This is a live exclusively for people to come up who disagree with me. I don't know how that's at all an echo chamber. So, and you can think I'm smug, that's fine. Like, I couldn't care less like that. Yeah, I'll sleep fine tonight knowing you think that. You're welcome to that opinion. But when you're saying something that's like really ironic, such as, oh, you're in an echo chamber and you're in a live where people who disagree with me are the only people who come up, just find that ironic.
Well, yeah, I mean, so the recycled points, everything, I've heard tonight. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. I meant more of like, do you know people? Do you affiliate with people? And I actually asked very specifically outside of this platform, right? I'm acknowledging that you're at least doing that. I mean, obviously you're making money off of it and you're kind of picking people that, you can kind of beat and all this other kind of stuff. Maybe they don't have the same kind of background and everything. But, to me, it sounds like you don't really affiliate with people in a day-to-day setting, getting to know them, understanding what they're going through. That was more toward my point, right? My point was, do you surround yourself with those people outside of this platform? You said one of your closest friends was libertarian. Do you have any sort of common ground with him?
Yeah.
I mean, on what?
Yeah, we have some common ground. I also, I just think that you being like, oh, well, outside of this platform, you're in an echo chamber. It's like, well, if you take away one of the main ways of which somebody is subjected to the other side, then they're in an echo chamber. But obviously you don't take away the main way of which they're subjected to the other side. But yes, that's just one of my good friends. He's a libertarian. He's actually voted for Republicans in the past on a local level and state level. We have some common ground when it comes to things like gay marriage. He's a libertarian. He thinks that government should stay out of that. We have some common ground when it comes to things like reproductive rights and how we approach race in the United States. But I also have some other friends that I haven't mentioned that are conservative, and I also have, of course, some friends that are very liberal.
Okay. So with the friends that are conservative, do you have any sort of common ground with them? I mean, is there any sort of mutual? So you do associate with people, that are conservative outside of the platform and everything like that. It's more to the point. I mean, are they childhood friends? I mean,
it's a mix of people. It's a mix of people.
Okay. So, and in terms of the common ground that you have with the conservatives, what's the common ground that you have?
So a lot of these conservatives agree with me on things like democracy, on things like funding Ukraine.
Obviously, democracy is important.
Well, not too many Trump supporters, unfortunately.
Why would you say that Trump opposes democracy inherently?
Because he tried to overturn an election he didn't win.
What would lead you to that conclusion?
Submitting false electors, calling up state legislators, asking them to call a special session to either not certify Joe Biden's votes or decertify Joe Biden's votes and then reinstate his electors, calling up state officials like Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger in Georgia, asking him to find him 11,000 votes, lying about the election to the public, challenging it in court, which is within his right to do, but he knew that there was, those were baseless claims. And of course, everything that happened on January 6th, while the insurrection was taking place, he was still calling legislators in Congress, telling them to reject the votes. And he obviously wanted January 6th to take place and all these things that led up to January 6th. It's just really terrible stuff. And even today, he can't commit to accepting a free and fair election. It's very strange.
So, I mean, initially following the judicial process, right? He filed the appeal. and he went through the process, right? In terms of January 6th and everything like that, whether that was his fault or not is totally up for debate. And you can't just say that that's an assumption that he drove the crowd over there or any sort of thing like that. Because there's really no basis for it. I mean, the crowd formed. We didn't direct them and say, go storm into the Capitol immediately. That's not what he said. So at the end of the day, it's kind of baseless.
No, it's not baseless at all. Why were they there on January 6th?
Why was who there?
Why were all the people that went to the building there on January 6th?
What are you talking about? The Trump supporters that were at
Why were they there? Like, who organized this entire thing? Yeah.
They were there to listen to a speech by Donald Trump.
Who kind of like organized this? Who made that happen?
There was actually a foundation that organized the event.
And then Donald Trump popularized it by saying, come to January 6th on DC, excuse me, come to DC on January 6th, will be wild. Right?
Honestly, I've not even seen anything where he did say that. I mean,
he said it on Twitter.
That he said, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I can imagine he probably would have if there was an event that was orchestrated by a foundation.
Right. So he brought them there on January 6th. His FBI and his Secret Service were telling him that there's going to be violence. They have intelligence that there's going to be violence. They briefed Mike Pence on this as well. He didn't care. So he knew that there was going to be violence because of lies that he spread. He brought them all to DC on January 6th. He knew that they had weapons. They actually removed the metal detectors in the crowd because so many of them had weapons. And Donald Trump has even said to the Secret Service saying, hey, remove the weapons so my people can get in. So he has this speech. He's using very inflammatory language. Then he directs them to the Capitol saying things like, if you don't fight, you won't have a country anymore. When you see fraud at these levels, you go by different rules. This is also somebody who has called for the termination of the Constitution of the United States. And then knowing that they have weapons, knowing that there's going to be violence, knowing that the crowd is hyped up, he sends them to the Capitol saying that he's going to be with them, going to march to the Capitol with them. Then he learned of the violence and sat on his ass in the Oval Office for 180 minutes and didn't once tell them to go home. Matter of fact, the first tweet that he sent out after learning of the violence was going after Mike Pence. And we have subpoena testimony under oath saying that when he was informed that the crowd was chanting, hang Mike Pence, he said maybe he deserves it. So the idea that Donald Trump, the guy who, put all the pieces together, is not responsible for January 6th is comical.
Sure. I mean, so you're saying there's irrefutable evidence that he provoked the crowd to go and incite violence against the U.S. Capitol. Is that what
I would say by my definition, it's pretty irrefutable, yeah.
Or the law's definition.
Well, he's not been indicted with insurrection. Right. I'm not claiming that.
Well, he got a bookkeeping charge and he got convicted on that. So if there's, and that was the main thing that everybody made. So
I don't know how that's relevant to this, but yeah.
I mean, if you want to let me finish, that'd be great. So,
well, you were asking me a question, but anyway.
Are you done?
You were asking me a question. You were like, well, he got a bookkeeping charge and he was convicted. So that was a question. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you're saying that there's irrefutable evidence that he directed the crowd to go and incite violence. Is that a federal crime?
I mean, the definition of incitement to violence on a legal level versus just a social level is obviously different. There's a very high standard to prove when it comes to incitement to violence. I don't think that he could be convicted of incitement of violence, but that also doesn't mean that we in the court of public opinion should not hold him accountable simply because he couldn't be convicted. Like, there are plenty of people who have done awful things and not been convicted, but you would still argue that the public should hold them accountable for that.
I mean, in this particular instance, if he did that and he was directly responsible and we want to hold him accountable, right, he would have violated the law and it would have been irrefutable that he did so given the publicity of the platform and everything else. So why then hasn't he been indicted on that?
I think that's like I think that's like a stupid argument to make because, as I just mentioned, there are plenty of people who have been who've done terrible things, treated people terribly, and done things that we all would acknowledge very publicly are bad things, but never been convicted. So just because Donald Trump has not been indicted for inciting violence doesn't mean that we, the people, can't make a logical conclusion that Donald Trump is very much to blame for what happened on January 6th. We can just do like a simple test of if Donald Trump was not there, if Donald Trump didn't spread the lies that he did, if he didn't have the rally that he did, if he didn't, allow people with or direct people with weapons to go to the Capitol, would it have happened? And I think that any logical person who's in good faith would say it would not have happened. So Donald Trump, being the person who did all of these things, is the key person in the equation. And again, I we can go down the list of examples of people who've done terrible things and never been convicted of a crime, maybe never even been indicted of a crime, who we would still hold accountable.
Well, Harry, at the end of the day, that's with the assumption that he's the one who incited the violence. At the end of the day, that's with that assumption. If there's irrefutable evidence out there right? My question, which you answered already, is why hasn't he been? And I guess he didn't really answer it, but like my question is, why hasn't he been indicted, and why has the left kind of hooked their hat on this whole sort of bookkeeping charge, where he wasn't even the one who was doing the books? He had a bookkeeper, and then he signs off on the financial statements, and he's a felon now. He can't go into the Oval Office. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to make the claim that he's a felon, and you want to make the claim, right, and support that claim with evidence and everything, that he shouldn't be the president, then I feel like that felony indictment would have a lot more weight to that argument. And really, at the end of the day, the lack of the indictment, the lack of even an arrest or anything for that matter, when it comes to January 6th, kind of nullifies any ground the left has to stand on when it comes to him directly inciting it. Also, I think that it's not negligible. The Capitol Police were well informed of the size of the crowd by the foundation, by the Trump administration, and they had very minimal security. I think that most of the negligence there lies in the Capitol Police for not being properly prepared, given all of the social media activity that was online. I think that there's a lot of culpability there on the side of the Capitol Police when it comes to their orchestration of the defense of the Capitol as well. I think you can't necessarily sweep that under the rug in this equation. I would say, furthermore, that if we were to assert that the police had been properly prepared, we wouldn't have seen that either. So the question is, was it willful negligence or highly orchestrated negligence?
Yeah, so there were police on the front lines of the insurrection, and there were many of them, and they were still assaulted, attacked, berated by the protesters. So if there was like 20 more police officers, are you saying that you don't think it would happen? Don't answer that question. You can answer it in just a second. I think that's also a ridiculous view. You're putting it on the victims. Maybe if Donald Trump just never lied and never directed people to the Capitol, these police officers wouldn't have been beaten, many of them having concussions or even going unconscious during this, being pepper sprayed and things like that. It's terrible what happened. And in terms of like, there's no indictment for January 6th, so the left has nothing to stand on. This is also a fundamental misunderstanding or maybe a lack of knowledge, because is part of Donald Trump's indictment surrounding him trying to overturn the election. There was an indictment or a charge, for obstructing an official proceeding, which took place, that official proceeding, on January 6th. Donald Trump wanted that official proceeding to be disrupted by his engaging in a false elector scheme, which would, of course, obstruct that official proceeding, which took place on January 6th. So, and also the whole comment on the felonies in New York, that's also a misunderstanding of the law, because in New York, the law says when it comes to falsifying business records in the first degree, in order to prove somebody did it, they had either had to quite literally themselves falsify those business records or cause those business records to be falsified. And Donald Trump very much did that by his work with Michael Cohen, funneling the money through Michael Cohen, and then having his bookkeepers label it as legal expenses as he directed them to, which would cause them to falsify the business records. This was proven in a court of law by the prosecutors. A jury of his peers unanimously agreed. So it just seems like a lack of knowledge on the law here, or not lack of knowledge on the indictments. And also, I find the whole talking point surrounding the culpability of the Capitol Police to be very strange. I mean, have you no honesty? Have you no honor to just say, we shouldn't be blaming the Capitol Police. Maybe we should be blaming the people who quite literally directed these armed individuals to the Capitol?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, kind of circling back to that last point, right? Going all the way back to and I'll work all the way through that because that was a lot. But, the Capitol Police, the culpability there, I think it's honestly negligent for them not to have been more prepared. I mean, you look at the minimal defenses that were stationed there, and they knew thousands of people were going to be coming. I mean, at the end of the day, they should have prepared more. You know what I mean? So from that respect, I think there is a certain amount of culpability. And if you want to say, the causation of the January 6th situation was 100% on Trump, I don't think you can necessarily say that. I think that a lot of culpability lies on the Capitol Police and not being properly prepared for that situation. And, they were overrun in a matter of minutes. I mean, that should not have been the case. Once people started approaching the Capitol, they should have called for reinforcements and everything else. And they eventually did, but after it was too late. So I think it's initially a lack of leadership on the ground when it comes to the logistics of that situation. You know, and that might have been just one or two different people, but at the end of the day, that is a major factor in what happened. And I don't think it can be ignored. Kind of circling back to what you touched on when it comes to the indictments in New York, you know, lack of knowledge, whatever. I mean, I'm an accountant at the end of the day. I mean, I do bookkeeping for a living. You know, I understand the laws in certain states. I mean, I haven't personally handled things in New York, so maybe I'm a little bit off in New York, but typically the way things work when it comes to financial statements are that executives sign off on these financial statements. You know, after Sarbanes-Oxley, after the whole Enron scandal and everything, they have to certify the financial statements, right? That's as if they prepared them themselves. They are totally able to be held accountable for those financial statements if they sign off on them. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're the ones who prepared them, right? But they're signing off on the financial statements, and Trump signed off on the financial statements. And really, at the end of the day, what the crux of the issue was the misclassification of an expense as a legal expense that was hush money, right? But it was really this whole gotcha scenario where they combed through absolutely everything, and that's the only thing that they could get. And I'm just saying it's a weak indictment to try to say that this guy shouldn't be a president because he's a felon, when really he's like 3 steps away connected from this whole thing. And if you want to say, oh, he's a criminal, he's been convicted, all the 34 felony charges were essentially regarding the same thing. You know, and then we have, you know, the additional stuff that's going on in Georgia with, you know, voter manipulation or whatever is going on over there. But at the end of the day, I mean, that stuff's all essentially been thrown out. You've had judges that have refused to prosecute certain cases. It seems like the left is willing to do absolutely any and everything to keep this election from the ballot, right? And that's really what the crux of the frustration is with conservatives in the U.S. right now, especially when it comes to states like Florida, states like Georgia, states like, you know, South Carolina, you know, all these states where I'm very familiar with, and I get to talk to people who are conservative every single day. And I have many friends who are liberal. I have many friends that are in law school. I have many friends that are very accomplished. I have many friends that are master's degrees, clients, etc. And, you know, I'm able to find common ground with all of them. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, if we're all being honest, we can all find common ground.
So again, I think the culpability argument surrounding Capitol Police is just utterly ridiculous. Donald Trump controls the National Guard in D.C. If your argument is, well, the DC police were culpable because they didn't deploy enough people, then by that same vein, you would agree that Donald Trump is culpable because he didn't deploy the National Guard to the Capitol when he knew that there was going to be violence. So it seems like you would also, to a degree, agree with me that Donald Trump is culpable for some of the violence. I think he's culpable for more, but we have at least an agreement here, in my view. And then again, with the felonies in New York, it's not just some minor bookkeeping charge. Well, you know, it's kind of like, who cares? Like, the left is just trying to get him. He falsified business records in the first degree with the intent to further conceal another crime. One of the theories, which I believe is the most compelling that the prosecution put forward, was that it was election interference. He did this to prevent this story surrounding Stormy Daniels from coming out and the American people learning about that. He knew that it would hurt his election chances, so he broke the law so that this story would not come out. That is election interference. You guys talk about election interference. Oh, well, the Democrats are doing this. You ever look at your own guy? You ever look at your own guy trying to prevent the American people from learning about a story about him, so he breaks the law to conceal it? That doesn't sound, you know, very honest, very patriotic to me. And it's a lot more nefarious than how you put it. Oh, you know, his accountant did something wrong. He's held accountable. Please. He wasn't charged with a misdemeanor. There was no misdemeanor charge of falsifying business records. This was a felony charge. Oh, he's gone. This was a felony. I'm going to finish here. This was a felony charge and conviction of 34 felonies of falsifying business records in the first degree. And now I also wanted to ask him what judge is refusing to prosecute Donald Trump. And the reason I wanted to ask that question is because judges don't prosecute. So I was curious as to why he said it like that and what judge is refusing to prosecute Donald Trump. And also I find it ironic, or not ironic, I shouldn't say. I find it funny but he said Democrats are trying to keep this election from the ballot because he thinks that holding Donald Trump accountable for crimes that he committed is trying to keep the election from the ballot. It's like, no, Donald Trump broke the law. It's very clear that he broke the law. We all know that he broke the law. We're just waiting for it to go to trial. And I think that he should be held accountable regardless of him being president or not. And I want to be clear that these cases have an abundance of evidence, whether it be in Georgia trying to overturn the election, whether it be in DC with trying to overturn the election, or Florida, where he quite literally admitted on audio to stealing classified documents. Whatever case you want to pick, the evidence is compelling and very powerful. So I don't know what that whole argument was. And I find it just, finally, his whole comment to the beginning of like, oh, you're so smug, you're this, you're that, seemed like a lot of just anger from that guy. Anyway, what's up, man? 1 sec. Talon, thank you for the penny saying there's videos where Kamala Harris says she wants a national ban on ARs. Yeah, so we still agree with a national ban on a sale of assault weapons, which is a good thing. And I can talk about that if you'd like. Shelly, thank you for the $50 for being so smug. Texas Blue. Yo, show some love for Shelly in the chat with the W's. I appreciate that, Shelly. Yeah, Shelly, apparently I'm just too smug. And that, I don't know. I mean, like, God forbid I laugh when someone says something stupid. I mean, sue me. Ricardo, show some love for Shelly in the chat. Please fill the chat. $50 is incredibly generous, Shelly. I appreciate you. Just know I understand. I appreciate you. And it means a lot that you watch and support as well. That goes an incredibly long way. You're amazing. Ricardo, thank you for the $10. This one's for your Harry, a big W. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, Ricardo. It was an interesting conversation. Bonetta, thank you for the $10. Hi, Harry. My good friends and I are such huge fans. Thank you for what you're doing. I've learned so much and I'm invested in politics now, fact checking my MAGA acquaintances, much to their annoyance. Bonetta, first of all, thank you so much for being a fan and your friends being fans. I'm a fan of you guys. I hope you know that. I'm a fan of you guys. This is, again, a two-way street. I like you. You guys are amazing. And thank you for doing amazing work, such as fact checking your MAGA acquaintances. It's a tough task. Quickly, Mark, thank you for the $2. MAGA, my ass got abandoned in Coachella. Damn right. Angelica, thank you for the $6.66 saying you're on fire tonight. So proud of you with the last guest. Thank you so much, Angelica. In 20 days, 1 hour, 18 minutes until the election. It's getting close, everybody. Sarah, thank you for the $3. I was MAGA. Thanks to you, I voted blue in Georgia today. Hell yeah. First of all, shout out Pajama Pants. Do you like them? Please show some love for Sarah in the chat. She was MAGA and she just voted blue in Georgia today. That is amazing. That's a swing state voter flipped, and now we have this amazing, wonderful, beautiful person, Sarah, who's on the right side of history, on the Kamala Harris side. And God, Sarah, that is so fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that. And thank you for voting early. Get out there and vote early, please. Sarah, you're amazing. Oh my God, that you're amazing. Thank you, Callie, for the $1. Harry, check out Vote Hub US on X. We'll definitely do that for sure. Ashley, thank you for the $5. Thank you for being a voice as a white male. There's a philosophy. I forget who said it. I'm not going to remember who said it, but it's like something along the lines of, a good leader stands with people, not above them. And I think that applies to like all levels of politics, right? So I don't know. Thank you. I appreciate you for being here. Clarence, thank you for the $10. Keep cooking MAGA, bro. I appreciate you, Clarence. Thank you so much. You mean the world to me. Stephanie, thank you for the $5. Cooking the blank out of this guy. I appreciate you. Thank you for the $5. Sheila, thank you for the $20. Thank you for being you and continue to educate, Sheila. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the $20. That's incredibly generous. Jake, thank you for the $7. Hey, Harry, do you post VOD, I don't know what that is, anywhere? I missed some. Or vids anywhere? Is that maybe meant to say vids? I post on Snapchat, I post on Instagram, I post on TikTok, I post videos on YouTube, and I sometimes post videos on Twitter. And finally, hold on, last one, I promise. Saharla, thank you for the $2 as well. I appreciate you. Landon, you've been very patient. What's up, man?
Thank you. Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, what you based your votes off of.
So as I was just telling that last guy, I think it's like a combination of things. I think it's like reading since I've been young. I think it's a combination of morals and values that I've, developed as I've gotten older.
Okay, well, I was just thinking, what does the president do? They're over everything. So are we voting off of what their policy is or who the person is?
I think it's a mix of both. I think that obviously like policy is one of the main reasons why people vote for somebody or should vote for somebody. But I also think that character really matters. Like who the leader is. Are they a good person? Are they a bad person? Do we trust them to make a decision that helps the people over themselves? Do we trust them to do what's right? Things like that. I think that really matters.
Yeah, I get that, but I was just, whenever you're the leader of the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, right? Mm-hmm. You have to deal with all the other leaders, and I just don't see Kamala as fit to deal with those people, as she can't even talk on her own, and she needs a teleprompter to put out any information.
So Kamala Harris was formerly a prosecutor, a district attorney, an attorney general. She went after killers, assaulters, traffickers, defrauders. Some of these people are very powerful. She went after transnational gangs. All these people are very powerful. The idea that she can't stand up to people and fight for people is crazy. It's lunacy. And she also does plenty of events without a teleprompter. I mean, she's literally doing a Fox News interview tomorrow. She's going on a conservative outlet. Trump continues to refuse to go on independent outlets. He doesn't go on 60 Minutes. He doesn't do CNN. He doesn't do MSNBC, whereas Kamala Harris is jumping to the other side. And she's done a number of town halls recently where there are no teleprompters. So the idea that she doesn't. Also, I don't understand this whole objection to teleprompters at speeches. Don't we want our leaders to be prepared and have a message and stay on track? I mean, you hear Trump at his rallies and he has a teleprompter, but sometimes he goes off and starts talking about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. That doesn't seem like a great representative of the United States to me. But what makes you think that Donald Trump is qualified to talk to these big, scary leaders?
Oh, just based off his last 4 years that he was in as president.
I mean, what gave you
he did a pretty good
impression?
job of.
Good.
I mean, the way that he was able to contact with North Korea, and he was able to keep peace with the whole world.
So just to be clear, North Korea continued to threaten us throughout Donald Trump's entire presidency. They continued to threaten us with missiles. They continued their nuclear program. They continued their missile program. So Trump sending letters to Kim Jong-un, it's okay, didn't really change anything. There also wasn't peace in the world, especially in the Middle East. Iran attacked us. Iran attacked Saudi Arabia for the first time. There was the Syrian civil war. There was conflict between Israel and Gaza, as there is now. We were still in Afghanistan. More American soldiers died under Donald Trump than they did under Joe Biden. It's he wasn't this big scary leader who were scaring off Iran who attacked us, for example.
I mean, I don't believe that he's not strong. I think he's way stronger than Kamala could ever be.
Really? Is that why all of his former national security advisors have acknowledged that he's weak? John Bolton, who's incredibly conservative, he's not even voting for Kamala Harris, has talked about how he's a laughingstock to leaders in China and in North Korea and Iran. Is that how Mark Esper, Donald Trump's former national security advisor, said that he's incompetent? He's actually dangerous for the United States. Or his former chief of staff, John Kelly, who was a 4-star general, talked about how Donald Trump, again, incompetent, doesn't know anything about history. And also he confirmed that Donald Trump called fallen American soldiers losers and suckers. Is that why General Mark Milley, somebody that Donald Trump appointed to be the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest position that can be appointed in the military by the president, it has called Donald Trump a fascist and dangerous for America?
I mean, I've never seen any of that, so I don't know.
I mean, I can show you sources on this if you'd like, but Donald Trump's own national security team, many of the people he selected to be on his national security team, people he selected to be in the military, are all saying that he's weak, that he has no idea what he's doing. And so if the people that know him best are saying that Donald Trump is incompetent, then I don't think that we should ignore that.
I mean, I don't believe that that's
what don't you believe?
Completely true. I just don't believe that all those people, and if they are, then whatever. I mean,
sure. I mean,
there's a lot of hate for them, not much reason. But I do got one question though.
Well, just to be clear, I mean, this is a really, dumb position to take. Just be there was just hate toward Donald Trump, and that's why these people are saying that. It's I think we have to have a higher standard of that. These people were selected by Donald Trump, complimented by Donald Trump, employed by Donald Trump. Donald Trump picked them, and they're not, slamming Donald Trump because they're deep state or Democrats. They are lifelong Republicans. Let me just read you some quotes. For his first Secretary of Defense, James Mattis, Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime who does not try to unite the American people, does not even pretend to try. Instead, he tries to divide us. His second Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, I think he's unfit for office. He puts himself before the country. His actions are all about him and not about the country. And then, of course, I believe he has integrity and character issues as well. His chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, retired Mark Milley, seemed to invoke Trump, quote, "We don't take an oath to be a wannabe dictator. We take an oath to the Constitution and we take an oath to the idea that is America, and we're willing to die to protect it." His first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, Trump's understanding of global events, his understanding of global history, his understanding of U.S. history was really limited. It's really hard to have a conversation with someone who doesn't even understand the concept of why we're talking about this. His first ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, he used to be good on foreign policy, and now he started to walk it back and gets weak in the knees when it comes to Ukraine. A terrible thing happened on January 6th, and he called it a beautiful day. I could go on and on and on about all these people. And these are people who work for Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say that every Republican's my favorite and that every Republican is going to be on Trump's side. So, you know.
Yeah. So anyway, is your position just that these people are all lying? Like, do you really think that all these people who Donald Trump himself picked have gotten together to tell a coordinated lie about Donald Trump? Or maybe he's just incompetent?
No, I just don't understand how you can say that he put himself before America. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely did. Was that your follow-up question?
Yeah, I mean, It wasn't. I have another question, but I was just going to wonder if you can explain how he put himself before America. Because, I mean, he didn't take his salary, and now he's been attempted assassination on, 3 times? He's
2.
He's old enough that he doesn't have to do this anymore. He should be able to ride off in the sunset and just do whatever the heck he wants to for the rest of his life. But instead, he's fighting for America. So I wonder how that's him above America.
He's fighting for himself here. He's running for president to keep himself out of jail. I can guarantee that one of the first things he does in office, or at some point in his office, is pardon himself. Right? He knows that if he's elected president, that's the only way he doesn't go to prison for the rest of his life for a bunch of crimes that he's committed. So he's not doing this for you. He's not doing this for me. He's not doing this for anybody. If he were doing it for the American people, he wouldn't be calling Democrats like myself vermin. He wouldn't be calling us Marxists, communists, all of these really insidious names. And he wouldn't be saying that he was going to use the military against Democrats, which is illegal, deploying the military on American soil. But the way that Donald Trump put himself before and finally, you say he didn't take a salary. Yeah, but he made $5 million from China while in office. So not great. And the way he put himself before the American people, I mean, the list is long, but the main one that comes to mind for me is trying to overturn an election he didn't win. He lied about the election, said there was fraud, even though courts have denied it. The FBI denied it. The Department of Homeland Security denied it. The Department of Justice denied it. His own family advisors, lawyers denied it, said that this didn't happen. There is no fraud. But he continued with these lies anyway, knowing that it was dividing the country, knowing that it was like poisoning the minds of MAGA Trump supporters. He continued with the lie anyway. And instead of putting his own ego aside, understanding that he just lost the election, he continued to lie and put himself before the American people and the choice that the American people made.
Well, I mean, I do believe there were some fishy things that went on. I don't totally believe. I mean, you know, if he might have won fair and share, you know, whatever. But I mean, I think if he was putting himself before America, he wouldn't have ran for president, and then he wouldn't have all these felonies that everybody's trying to put up against him.
Wait, so he breaks the law to help America? He breaks the law to help America? Is that the argument now?
Well, you know, I mean, all these other big corporations, they get their tax cut, they avoid paying taxes, all that, you know. But, you know, none of this would have gotten brought up if he didn't run for this second term. So, I mean, I don't understand how him running is.
He wants to give a tax break to these corporations, not give them more taxes.
I didn't say he was trying to give them more taxes. I said he got the tax cut, but they all got the tax cut, and there is a break in the system, I guess. That's not, I guess, right. I don't know.
I don't honestly don't know what you're talking about. Okay, well,
the other question I had was, I was wondering why Kamala is trying to distance herself from Joe Biden, even though it's Biden-Harris's ticket, and why she's trying to, you know, just say that, you know, she's not really a part of it whenever vice president is the second most powerful person.
I wouldn't say that the second most powerful person, but
I mean, who becomes president if the president?
In that sense, like, who's closest to the presidency, she's certainly second in line. But in terms of power in politics, the vice president doesn't have more power than like the Speaker of the House or the Senate Majority Leader. I
mean, she's always right there by him, so I mean, she has a hand in everything.
Yeah, no, she's involved in a lot of things. I think she's looking to distance herself from Biden. She's not looking to distance herself from Biden on everything, but she has to show that she is her own candidate. She's not just she's not Joe Biden. She's Kamala Harris. She has some disagreements with Joe Biden. She has policy that goes a little bit further than Joe Biden. And I think that's an important distinction for her to make. Because, it's not Joe Biden running to be president of the United States. It's Kamala Harris. But when it comes to the things that they've accomplished together, she's not running away from that. I mean, she shouldn't run away from those things. They've invested in infrastructure, expanded veterans health care, lowered healthcare costs, invested in fighting climate change, invested in manufacturing and things like that. Like, she's not running away from that stuff. She's just showing that, she has different policy than Joe Biden on some things. So,
I mean, I would be embarrassed of what I did with Joe Biden too if I was her. So
why would you be embarrassed of like expanding veterans healthcare?
No, that's great, but like I just don't understand why. I mean, the inflation part, that's literally crippling America.
Okay, so how did Joe Biden or Kamala Harris cause inflation?
By just giving out money to everyone.
How do they?
The more money
what money do they give out to people?
The less the dollar's worth, which therefore increases inflation.
What money did they give out to people?
For literally anything.
Like what?
All the immigrants are just getting everything paid for. So if you're going to say that Trump's going to put himself before America, then why don't we put America before America?
You really think that immigrants are getting everything before America? Do you really think that immigrants are getting everything paid for? Is that what you really believe?
They're getting a lot paid for, yeah.
Like what? What are they getting paid for?
They're getting free housing. They're getting food stamps. They're getting all this stuff.
They're not getting food stamps. Food stamps are
ahead of Americans.
No, that's not true.
Why are there so many Americans on the side of the road homeless, but there's these illegal immigrants getting free housing?
So there are certain immigrants that are housed because they are asylum seekers. So a lot of these people can't get jobs for a certain period of time. They can't get their own houses for a certain period of time. So if they weren't housed, they would just be quite literally put on the side of the road. And also we have plenty of federal programs that people can apply for housing. We have government housing. And a lot of this is a state by state basis. So you see like migrants being housed in the United States and like New York City. That's not federal government policy. That's state policy. That's not Joe Biden making that policy. And to be clear, like immigrants are not getting everything paid for. That's just objectively false. If you're an immigrant in this country, especially undocumented or an asylum seeker, you are not living a great life. You do not have access to the same things that you and I have access to as American citizens. You do not have access to federal resources. You do not have access to social programs. You do not have access to any of these things. You can't apply for government housing as an undocumented migrant or asylum seeker. You can't do that. Come on, man. Like the idea that immigrants are living better than the American people is just a straight up total lie. And yeah, so also on your claim that like the Biden administration caused the inflation by giving money out to people, over a 10-year period, Donald Trump has more borrowing than Joe Biden, around double. It's around like, if you combine both non-COVID spending and COVID spending, it's around 8 trillion for Donald Trump, whereas for Joe Biden, it's 4 trillion. So if you're like, yeah, we're just giving out money to people, I think you should take that up with Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, Donald Trump, all of these Americans were able to buy homes. The American dream was still a thing. Even Kamala Harris herself has said the American dream is not, you can't do it anymore. And, I just don't know why we're getting away from the fact that the American dream is something bad. Like, why does nobody want to own a home? Like, I don't see what's bad in that. Why did we get away from that? Why did we blow up inflation so bad that that's no longer a possibility?
So, we agree with the American dream. Like the Democrats want the American dream to be possible for everybody. We want you to be able to own a home, get a good paying job, get good benefits, be able to have a family if you want to have a family, be able to marry who you want to marry. That's why Kamala Harris is putting forward the policy that she is. She wants to give middle-class workers a tax cut. She's not going to raise taxes on middle-class workers. She wants to make it easy for folks to create a small business if they want to, kind of removing that financial barrier that stops a lot of people. She wants to build 3 million new houses in 4 years by working with contractors and people who build houses to lower prices and rent for families who are buying homes, whether it be first-time home buyers who might get more benefits or just somebody that's looking to start a family and maybe like move out of the city and buy their first home. Whatever it might be, she wants to help these people. She has policies to help these people. Donald Trump does not. He has not articulated at all how he's going to help folks like yourself buy a house when you want to buy a house. He's not discussed that at all.
Okay, yeah, but I just don't understand how giving people money to put on a down payment will not therefore just increase the price of the house even more, because you can't just keep giving out money and giving out money and giving out money and not expecting things to increase, because then what does the dollar even mean anymore?
So there are already a bunch of down payment assistance plans and programs in a bunch of cities across the United States, and the prices of houses don't go up radically in those places. Down payment assistance just helps people be able to buy a house. It's like getting a loan for anything. sort of. Like I think somebody actually just made a good point in the car. If you get like help to buy a car, the prices of cars have not gone up just because people can get loans to buy cars. And also this program would only apply to a certain group of people, those being first-time home buyers within a certain income bracket. So if you're like the sons of the owners of Walmart, I'm sorry, you're not going to qualify. But it's mainly just to help people get a house and get them into a home and build up their wealth and things like that. And there's no evidence or reason to believe that it'll increase the price of a house, because also the sellers are not going to be able to just jack up the price 25 grand because they have no idea who has access to this program, who's been granted access to this program. And if a bunch of sellers do just start saying, hey, we're just going to jack up the price of a house to make it what we want to make it, or maybe increase the price because there's down payment assistance, then there are going to be contractors out there who build lower price house, and those people will buy those houses instead.
Yeah, but eventually all those get bought up, and then what are you going to do? Then you have
the Democrats wanted to pass a bill to stop big companies from buying these houses up, and Republicans blocked it.
I mean, I didn't see that, so I can't say here or there on that.
Yeah, you can look it up if you'd like. I can look it up for you now if you so choose. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, and also like I hear a lot about Trump's going to help the richer get richer and all this and stuff, But I was just wondering, like, you look at the people who donate the most money to these Democratic like stuff and then Republican stuff, and it's only like Elon Musk is like the only super rich person that donates to Republican. Every other super, like all the next top richest people all donate to Democrat. So I just don't understand how that can align there, that all the rich people are Democrat and only one rich person is Republican. And that's just because, they just keep getting richer and richer. Those Democrats do.
Yeah. So this is also just not true. There are plenty of wealthy people who donate to Donald Trump, like Elon Musk, obviously, as you mentioned. Yeah, I know. But like the idea that like the majority of wealthy people donate to Democrats is like, I don't see any reason to believe that. You mentioned Elon Musk. There's people like Dana White, who's a big Trump supporter, is obviously. No, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is you can't take jabs at people, but what's the benefit in insulting a woman for her weight, right? Kamala Harris doesn't insult Donald Trump for his weight or something like that, right? It's far more cordial and sophisticated on the Democratic side than it is, I'd say, on the Trump side. And it's not even close. Like, Trump calls his political opponents vermin. He says all these different names I've listed before, like communist, socialist, fascist, all the Marxists about Democrats. He's called the media the enemy of the people. It's like incredibly divisive, right?
I mean, the media does try to sway people in Democratic way. They like censoring things. I mean, they don't tell the full story.
Yeah. Tune into well, don't do this because you'll want to hurt yourself. But Fox News, just listen to Fox News sometime. First of all, shout out everybody coming from Parker and Dean. I appreciate y'all.
I just don't see how the one thing you said, don't look at X. That's the one thing that Elon Musk runs, and that's the one thing that won't get censored, and that's the thing you tell him not to look at.
No,
because that's the only thing that'll tell you the truth. But okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's truth on the X. No, you can follow like super reputable outlets and sources on X. Like there are journalists who go around the world and are on the ground, and they're employed by like actual agencies, but people just saying random shit on Twitter that goes viral is not what should be your source of information. And often a lot of these people just straight up lie.
It obviously has to be reputable, but I don't think just looking at a Democratic source that is swayed Democratic way is going to help you see both ways.
Here's what's funny. First of all, I'm not saying, sorry, what's here? I'm not saying just look at a Democratic source, right? I'm saying like you can look at journalists. There are plenty of journalists on Twitter who I follow and look and read every single day who are not Democrats. You don't even know what their political affiliation is. They're very nonpartisan. But what's funny is like if you see a bunch of facts being reported by people you perceive to be Democrats, then maybe they're not just Democrats and maybe they're just reporting the truth, and the truth is incongruent with your way of your views and your way of life. Maybe if
and it goes the same way for you guys.
I mean, sure, but it's not our candidate who lies 30,000 times, right? Donald Trump lied 30,000 times during his presidency, averaging 4 a day. It's not Joe Biden didn't do that. Kamala Harris didn't do that.
Okay, but you can look at the debate, like Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. You can look; they obviously are lying. Like they've been proven to be lied.
Yeah. So like, don't get me wrong. There were falsehoods told by both Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the debate.
Yeah. So
but compare that to what? Compare that to the lies that Donald Trump and JD Vance told, where there was a CNN fact check of Kamala Harris, and she was fact checked to have lied once. Donald Trump was fact checked to have lied 33 times. JD Vance and Tim Walz is similar. There were certainly things that Tim Walz got wrong, but JD Vance just straight up lied about every single topic. So yeah, I'm not saying that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are perfect. What was that?
I mean, I could say that Kamala Harris lied about every single topic.
Okay, like on what topics did she lie about?
Okay, then what topics did JD Vance lie about?
I'm happy to give you examples, but do you have examples that you want to share or no? You're just saying.
I'm just saying that I can say the same thing that you're saying.
Well, you can't say the same thing because it's not true.
I mean, it's not. I don't believe that you're saying it's true. So,
well, I'm sorry. You have to get out of this disinformation spiral, my man. I can give you sources for everything I'm saying. You can look up the CNN fact check comparing Kamala Harris's one falsehood to Donald Trump's 33. I'm sorry, man.
I just think it's crazy that the greatest sacrifice that any person could ever make is joining the military, and then the greatest sacrifice would be if you lost your life in that, and the fact that Tim Walz lied about that. So
he served in the military,
but he lied about his active duty, like going into combat zones.
He misspoke.
Okay, how do you misspeak about that?
Just like you misspeak about literally anything else, he misspoke. But to be clear,
that's like saying I misspoke and said I was 8 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different than that.
You're not going to misspeak and say you're 8 feet tall. How do you not know your life?
It's a little bit different than that. If you look up his exact claim, like it's very similar to
that's like
what
me
he
saying
said
I'm
before.
president.
And just to be clear, like one instance when he was talking about his service, he misspoke. Every other instance when he's talking about it, he's spoken about it accurately, and he's also corrected himself and apologized for any misunderstanding. But I also want to be clear that Tim Walz signed up.
He got made look stupid.
He corrected himself. This is something that Donald Trump has never done. Donald Trump lies all the time and has never apologized. And Tim Walz quite literally misspoke. And I want to be clear here that Tim Walz signed up for the military at 17 and served for 25 years, which is longer than most people serve in the military. So I mean, you can be like, well, Tim Walz said this about that. Tim Walz said, why can't we just say, hey, I'm thankful for Tim Walz for serving for 25 years in our military and putting his life on the line to serve for the country, signing up to do that, something that a lot of people don't do. And then when he came home, he served as a teacher, a football coach, and then ran for Congress, and now is governor of Minnesota. That seems like a life dedicated to public service to me.
Yeah, well, you'd think if you spent 25 years in the military, you would know about your military service. That's like saying I misspoke.
The thing that should have came out of your mouth right there is I appreciate Tim Walz's military service, because your guy that you're voting for dodged the draft, claimed bone spurs. He served a total of 0 years. Tim Walz served a total of 25. So the difference couldn't be more clear. And I don't know why we're like picking on Tim Walz for his military service. He misspoke one time. I'm so sorry. That's the gravest sin you see.
About his military service. I'm glad I support all veterans, like everything. But like, I mean, How do you misspeak about that? That's like me saying I was the president. That's a misspeak. Oh shoot, I wasn't the president.
Yeah, it's really.
How do you
not.
misspeak about that?
It's really not. I think that like,
how is it not?
If you are
Please
working,
tell me how it's not.
If you like, for example, if you are working at like a 7-Eleven and like in conversation you say, yeah, I was assistant manager, and you're actually manager, is that a lie or did you misspeak? That to me,
okay, that might have been misspeaking, but that's way different than being in a combat zone. A combat zone is going to be something you remember for the rest of your life, and you're not going to misspeak that you were there. You're going to try to use that as. No, I don't even need to see fact check. I don't trust anything that's going to be coming out of there. So I mean,
what?
I just
you
think
don't trust fact check.
I just think it's crazy that you can misspeak about that and then just say it's a misspeak and then think it's okay to just say it's a misspeak. I don't understand that.
Wait, what? So you don't.
So that's like saying
you don't trust fact checks. Is that the?
So I misspoke and said I was the president. So am I the president now? Like,
sorry, I'm trying to read a fact check for you that I can pull up. Yeah, again, it's just not comparable. It's not like Tim Walz said that. Yeah, so I served in the military, which made me president. Right. This is not a role that he served. It's not even a role he came near. So you're making like something that's just not analogous. But Tim Walz certainly misspoke, but he corrected himself. And again, he still served in the military for 25 years. And like as opposed to talking about his military service and the fact that he signed up at 17 and served for that amount of time, you talk about a time he misspoke. It's like, come on, man, get your shit together. If you're gonna like pick on this, then maybe you should pick on Donald Trump for dodging the draft.
Cool. I respect him for going to the military. But how do you also? I don't remember where he said he was, but it was in the debate. He said he was. I forget exactly where it was at, but I forget the actual place. But he said he was this one place and he wasn't, and got proven wrong that he wasn't at that place. And is that a misspeak too? Like, it's his life, bro. Like, he's lived his life. How do you misspeak about your life? Like, I don't understand.
I'm sorry. If you so just to be clear, like when you're talking about your life, you have never misspoken ever about it.
I don't misspeak about a whole different country that I'm in. No, I've never misspoken.
You've never misspoken about your life.
I didn't say I never misspoke about my life, but I've never misspoken and said I was in the wrong country.
That's the claim you're making. How do you misspeak about your life? I've misspoken about my life. I lived in Ireland for 9 years, and I've said I lived in Ireland for 8 years. I've misspoken.
Okay,
this is like totally human stuff, and you're like picking on Tim Walz. It's like it's crazy to me. Like this is of all things in this presidential race, you pick on Tim Walz for misspeaking when it came to his military service, which again was 25 years he gave to this country. Donald Trump gave 0, dodging the draft. It's just interesting that you pick on this as opposed to, like, I don't know, Trump assaulting women. I don't know, Trump breaking the law. I don't know, Trump committing a bunch of business fraud and being found liable in courts or guilty for all of these things. That to me seems far more egregious than Tim Walz misspeaking, but to each their own, I suppose.
I don't, but that didn't change my opinion at all.
Of course it doesn't change your opinion. You view like this is like the weight that you give. So like if this is the scale of like not bad and bad, you put like Tim Walz misspeaking all the way up here, whereas Trump quite literally breaking the law is like all the way down here for you. Like, yeah, that Trump breaking the law does not change my opinion. Okay, then maybe you're part of the problem. I don't know.
Or maybe I'm voting for a president on what his policy is going to do. And
okay, can you name me 5 policies that Donald Trump got passed through Congress in his first term?
So what?
Can you name me 5 policies that Donald Trump got passed through Congress in his first term?
Bro, I don't sit there and study the freaking laws that get passed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So the point is like,
this isn't my job.
What were you saying? You're voting on policy and ability to get stuff done?
I'm voting on what I've seen the past. Hey, we've literally seen 4 years of each of them in control of this country.
And you can't even name things that Donald Trump did.
Do I need to know what he did, or do I just need to know how I lived?
Yeah, you need to know how somebody did.
I know how I lived, and it was
because
good.
just because you lived a certain way doesn't mean that Donald Trump was responsible for it, right?
How is it not? Isn't he the leader of the country?
Great. What did Donald Trump do to make the economy better? That made your life better?
Oh, he kept inflation low, and
how did he keep inflation low?
Understands economics by the fact that if you increase the price of oil or lessen oil prices, everything travels by the use of gasoline through planes, through trucks, all that. So if you increase the price of the transportation, then therefore the price gets passed on to the consumer, and therefore everything goes up in price, and that's why everything's so much more expensive now.
Hey, why are things more expensive now?
And I would rather things be cheap.
So what did Joe Biden do to cause those prices to go up?
He stopped drilling, fracking, all
we're
that
drilling
stuff.
more oil right now than ever before in American
transportation.
history. We're drilling more oil right now than ever before in American history.
Yeah, and that's why prices are finally starting to come down after 3.5 years. So
we've been doing this for 2 years.
It took him 3.5 years. Congrats.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 2 years now.
Then why did nothing change?
Because gas prices are not based on domestic markets. This is the whole lie. This is like we're unraveling the whole lie. Like just because we drill a bunch of oil here in the United States doesn't mean that gas prices are going to be low. Gas prices are based on global markets. So we can drill all the oil here. It doesn't mean that we're going to have low prices. So that's a lie that Donald Trump's also, by the way, the idea that inflation went up because gas prices went up and those costs were being passed down to the consumer is not backed up by any economic data. Like not a single study, not a single economist out there says, well, you know what? The prices went up just because of gas prices. It's like, that's so ridiculous.
No, it went up because they started giving money to everything. That did
Again, Donald Trump has more 10-year borrowing than Joe Biden. Double. He has double the amount of 10-year borrowing that Joe Biden has. All this. Do you not understand that?
I'm not even going to try to argue with.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like when facts are not on your side, it's very difficult to argue. I hear you. But all of what you're saying is just not
fact,
true.
Though. It's not a fact. Just because you're saying it does not mean it's a fact.
You're right.
All
obviously,
you do is
just because I'm saying
lying.
Obviously, just because I'm saying it doesn't mean it's a fact. But when we have government agencies backing up what I'm saying, then I think we can come to the conclusion that yes, it is a fact. So anything further? Oh, his Wi-Fi is bad. You see the red bars of death right there? That's what I call them, red bars of death. He's on MAGA Mobile. MAGA Mobile. Maybe you take your MAGA Mobile out and get the hell out. See, the MAGA Mobile doesn't work. It's like one of Donald Trump's many different companies. They always fail. Don't sign up for anything MAGA. It's a tough sell. Tough sell. Jessica, thank you for the $10 saying Florida for Kamala. Jessica, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Florida for Kamala, I hope. We can only hope, right? Arslan, thank you for the $20. Debate me. I have an important story. Happy to debate. No problem. Joey, thank you for the $5. Thank you from the LGBTQ plus community. We love you, brother. Thank you so much, Joey. I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you. Noel, thank you for the 98 cents saying I appreciate everything you do. Thank you, Noel. I appreciate everything you do as well. Thank you so much for being here. And I appreciate you generally. Joyce, thank you for the $50 saying keep teaching the ignorant MAGA. Thank you for what you do. I appreciate that so much, Joyce. Thank you so much. That is incredibly kind. $50 is incredibly generous. Please feel, and KCB, and thank you for the gem gun. And thank you everybody that sent gifts as well. Please fill the chat with W's for Joyce. $50 is crazy, Joyce. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Jake says for VODs or reposts of live stream. Oh, I do not. I don't post these anywhere currently. But thank you for letting me know. Mark, thank you for the $5 saying Landon doesn't know Trump like his cabinet. Exactly. Angelica, thank you for the, oh my God, thank you for the $30. Yo, TikTok might just greatly influence this vote. Angelica, thank you for the $30. That's so incredibly kind. Hopefully, hope we can only put our cross our fingers. But Angelica, thank you so much. That's incredibly kind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Catherine, oh my God, Catherine, thank you for the $100 on Cash App saying, is that all he's got? Tim Walz' military service? Yeah. All he had was, Tim Walz misspoke about his military service. I'm not voting for him. Give me a goddamn break. Catherine, thank you for the $100. That is so incredibly kind. I really, really appreciate it. Please fill the chat with W, Catherine. $100 is remarkable. That's wild. So thank you so much, Catherine. I appreciate you being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fill the chat with W's for Catherine. She's also always here supporting the live, and she's back again. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. You're amazing. So listen, ladies, gents, boys, girls, everybody in between, I have some bad news. I'm going to wrap up the live there. This has been a fun one. We went live for 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2.5 hours. But I'm going to go ride the Peloton now. And then it's chest day. I'm going to go ride the Peloton and lift. So I'm going to go do that. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys for rocking with me for the live. It's always an honor to talk with you. And again, let's get the official time. How many days until November 5th? 21. 21 days until November 5th, 3 weeks. So for the 3 weeks from today, we'll all be sitting here saying either yay or either no. So we'll find out what happens, but tune in. So anyway, listen, I have some people for you to raid. I want you to raid Tommy. So maybe if Killer's here, she can put his username up. Tommy or Isaiah, they're both great. They're both doing TikTok live debates. So if you want to see more, I would raid Isaiah R. Martin. He's a good friend of mine. So raid Isaiah R. Martin. He's doing TikTok live debates. Or do my dude. Tommy is one of the best debaters on this app. Like legitimately, I've learned a lot from Tommy. So go raid Tommy, my_dude. He's fantastic. Or Amanda Rose 00. They're all live. They're all debating. So go check them all out. And then when you do that, go say Harry Raid. Let them know that we sent you. But before you leave and go over to these amazing people, make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat. All of those links are in my bio. Of course, you can drop a follow here on TikTok as well. I post videos every single day. We're hopefully doing lives every single day until the election. There is some travel coming up for me. Thank you for the galaxy. I appreciate you. There is some travel coming up for me. So if I'm not live, just know that we're not slacking off. We're out there doing something. But I hope to talk with you every single day until the election. But of course, make sure to follow on Snapchat. And Snapchat, I'm going to be documenting a lot of stuff for these travels. So it would mean a lot if you can go add me on Snapchat, link in bio. And of course, follow on Instagram, follow on Twitter, follow on TikTok, follow on YouTube. All of those links are in my bio. But enough of the self-promo. I will leave it there. Have a great day tomorrow, everybody. Enjoy your day. It's a Wednesday. If it's not already for you, it's the middle of the week. Power through, fight through. It's almost the weekend. It's almost Friday. You'll have a great day tomorrow. I know it. And if you don't, that's okay.